having someone who will listen is gonna help make it better. I'm realizing that I need help.
I'm listening.
I need help. I'm realizing that I think that having someone who will listen is going to help make it better. Whether or not they've struggled with addiction themselves, people seem to understand. No one can get me to use drugs. My life changed because someone was there to listen.
1 in 7 Americans will struggle with addiction during their lifetime. Want to know how you can help? Go to heretolisten.com for tips and tools to help turn addiction around. A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council.
Oklahoma makes a landmark decision about executions. Fox's Jeff Manasso has this live.
Lisa, Oklahoma, one of the busiest execution states in the U.S., hasn't carried out capital punishment since 2015. It's now announcing plans to use nitrogen gas to kill death row inmates.
We have selected this method because of the well-documented fact that states across the country are struggling to find the proper drugs to perform executions by lethal injection.
This also amid lawsuits over a series of botched lethal injections. Oklahoma Attorney General Mike Hunter saying that testing shows this is the best method, though opponents argue it isn't proven to be effective or painless. Though if approved, Lisa, gas inhalation would be the state's primary execution method.
Thanks, Jeff. 6 U.S. soldiers hit by an avalanche while training for mountain warfare on one of Vermont's tallest peaks. A spokesman for the state's National Guard says the extent of injuries is not yet known, but the soldiers are being evacuated from Mount Mansfield. Meantime, 2 climbers missing since last week in Alaska are now presumed dead. State troopers say weather initially hampered the search, and when it cleared, crews found only ropes matching the description of the climbers' gear in a crevasse. More options for shoppers and competition for Amazon.
Walmart wants to be your grocery delivery service. The chain will be offering home delivery of groceries in 100 cities by the end of the year. Online grocery orders will be packed in a Walmart store by company workers and delivered by a third party, sometimes an Uber driver. Walmart is currently offering grocery delivery in 6 cities. Its delivery costs $9.95, and there's a $30 minimum. Ginny Cosola, Fox News.
The delivery program, the latest move after Amazon's purchase of Whole Foods last June. Lisa Brady, Fox News Radio.
When the power goes out on Guam, the little things can become surprisingly big. Small comforts are often the things we miss most during a power outage. That is why Kohler built the fastest responding generator sets in the industry. Whether you are at home or away, a residential Kohler generator will enable you and your family to live life without interruption. Kohler gas, LPG, and diesel power systems are available from Morico Equipment, LLC on EPAL Road. Call 649-1946. That's 649-1946.
It's super stupendous. It's sensational. It's a sensational seafood menu at Ruby Tuesday with satisfying selections of classic entrees like the fish trio and new favorites like lobster carbonara or seafood pan roast. Try them all and enjoy sensational seafood for a limited time at Ruby Tuesday Guam.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,500 by calling Family Finance in Hagåtña at 475-4545, Upper Tuon 647-5626, or in Dededo 633-4473. Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959.
For more than 40 years, we've managed our island's most precious resource, your health. Take Care's benefit plans allow members access to more than 120 medical providers, 40 dental providers, and 18 pharmacies in the region. Take Care's health plans ensure members in Palau, Saipan, and Guam receive the care they deserve. Our programs and wellness classes have proven results for our valued members, and our commitment to your health never been stronger. Take Care, our island, your health plan.
Join the most excellent of egg hunts. Chuck E. Cheese's Guam is holding their annual indoor egg hunts on Tuesday, March 27th from 3 to 7 p.m. Pre-register for the right age group in one of the 4 egg hunts per hour. Bring your baskets to hunt those eggs. Stay and play for the best experience. Call 647-4544 to register or stop in the restaurant. And sign up. Excellent egg hunts at Chuck E. Cheese's Guam.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 6 a.m. this Thursday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Guam Police Chief Joseph Cruz has informed his officers that there is a strong possibility of layoffs in the next fiscal year. The department is already bracing for a reduced 32-hour work week as a result of the governor's executive order. The chief met with some of his officers at the Dededo precinct yesterday, telling them no one is exempt from the executive order. He said layoffs would be determined by performance and on the basis of first in, first out. He said the police department has taken measures to reduce costs by suspending all overtime for police officers assigned to executive security, scrutinizing all overtime elsewhere, and minimizing absences and leave. But if we cut to a 32-hour work week, said the chief, it's going to get dicey. Lawmakers yesterday recessing their special session without taking action on the sales tax bill before them. Speaker Benjamin Cruz advising the body that it'll take a few days for the tax bill to be engrossed because of all the amendments that have been added to it. He scheduled a resumption of the 8th special session for 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon when lawmakers are expected to finally vote on the proposed 2% sales tax. In reaction, Governor Calvo issued a statement expressing concern about the additional delay, but on a positive note, the governor said, now there's movement, and we appreciate that because now we're on our way to getting a roadmap to help relieve the projected $67 million shortfall in revenue for the remainder of this fiscal year. We are hopeful it passes, said the governor. We need stability. On another budget note, the planned closure of 2 public facilities can be counted out of GovGuam's recently announced cost-saving plans because they're already closed. The Dededo swimming pool has been shut down since late last year for renovation. It remains closed today. And the Paseo Stadium was also on the list for closure, but it too is already shut down. It was closed in mid-February after chunks of concrete began falling from beams above the seating area behind home plate. Also on Monday's cost-cutting list, still slated for closure on Saturday, are the Teason Ball Fields, the Dededo Sports Complex, the Adelup Front Lawn Field, and Guerrero Field. We'll have more news after this.
Relax, enjoy, and be greeted by the spectacular view of Hagåtña Bay when you visit the Point at the Sheraton Laguna Guam. Gaze into the beautiful sunset as you unwind to the music of Philip Garcia and Natasha on Wednesdays, Mama Shar and Nina on Thursdays, Philip Garcia and Luis Muña on Fridays, and Jack Larimer on Saturdays. Open daily from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. Happy hour from 5 to 8 p.m. with all cocktail drinks for $7. Receive a discount when you present your SPG card. Call Peter Yaban at 646-2222 for reservations at the Point at the Sheraton Laguna Guam Resort.
Wendy's welcomes the new Smoky Mushroom Bacon Cheeseburger, featuring smoky sauteed portobello mushrooms, melted Asiago cheese, crispy applewood smoked bacon, and crunchy fried onions atop a juicy beef patty. For those craving the same great taste, Wendy's Smoky Mushroom Bacon Potato is also loaded with sauteed portobello mushrooms, cheddar cheese sauce, and crispy applewood smoked bacon. Here, for a limited time, get a delicious Smoky Mushroom Bacon Cheeseburger and Smoky Mushroom Bacon Potato today. Wendy's. Now that's better.
It is 11 minutes past 6 a.m. here at The Point. Law enforcement authorities have seized 1.5 pounds of marijuana discovered in a UPS package sent from California to an address in Tamuning. According to court records, Sun Ko Chu contacted UPS and asked for the package to be delivered to his workplace, but before delivery, authorities replaced the marijuana with paper, fitted the package with an electronic trigger and tracking device. Chu was arrested near his apartment holding the open package. According to the court records, he told police that he paid $3,600 via Western Union to have the marijuana shipped to Guam. Inside Chu's apartment, police found a marijuana grow operation, 7 marijuana plants, digital scales, and a stolen handgun. Finally, a 24-year-old man is behind bars for allegedly assaulting a woman known to him, strangling her and threatening to kill her. David Anthony Waniko has denied the accusations. He told police the bruises on the woman came from a tautomona. The woman told police Waniko accused her of cheating and assaulted her. He allegedly threatened to kill her when she refused to look for his ice pipe, according to the court records. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Here's Ray with the weather.
I'm sorry, I got to chuckle over some of those crazy stories that we got in the end. We'll talk about that a little bit more as the program commences. Weather for today, sure. We've got some partly cloudy skies and isolated showers. Expect easterly winds up to about 20 miles an hour. Daytime highs 88 degrees tonight. Same thing, the isolated showers and the winds up to about 20 miles an hour. Overnight lows are going to be about 76 degrees. Dry season trade wind regime expected through the forecast period. The big problems liable to be fire weather now, given the forecast for these increasing winds, and not a whole lot by way of rain. Sunrise this morning at 6:28. Watch that get earlier and earlier. Sunset at 6:31. Weather on the point. Brought to you by Bank Pacific, where others put branches, they place roots.
Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. Buenas din hafade, guau si Claraming Lotnya of Malolo, and this is where I start my day, listening to the voices of our community and sharing thoughts about issues that affect all of us. It all boils down to our people and our land. Protehi itanotmu, protect your land. When it comes to your family land, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
The Ray Gibson Show, brought to you by King's Restaurant, serving Guam favorites to families like yours for over 40 years. King's Restaurant, always open, always local.
Triple J says yes. Zero down? Yes. 1.9% financing? Yes. Easy trade-in? Yes. No payments for 90 days? Yes. We'll have you saying yes, too, to these amazing deals. Like our big boy truck, the Ford F-150 at only $217 per paycheck. Or the top safety pick Mazda CX-5 Sport at only $194 per paycheck. Or turn heads in the Mazda 3 Sport or the sleek and sophisticated Kia Soul. Both for only $129 per paycheck. Visit us online at triplejguam.com. Some conditions apply. See dealer for details. Triple J, customers first.
6:13. Program's also brought to you by First Hawaiian Bank. It all starts with yes.
I'm a working mom and could really use more hours in my day. Thankfully, my non-electric Kinetico water treatment system has simplified my life. It's easier to clean my home with Kinetico conditioned water. No more scrubbing tubs or wiping water spots. Cleaners work better and last longer. And all the Kinetico drinking water we want is right here. No more lugging home bottled water. All this, and I'm saving money too, thanks to Kinetico.
American Water Tech. Smarter water. Better water. Call American Water Tech at 649-2301 or email info@americanwatertech.com.
The Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now. 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Not enough hours in the day and not enough ink in the newspapers for some of the great stories that we've got floating around. And it all kind of come together in the morning newscast. I'll get to that in a second. Let me just start off by welcoming everybody to the program. Excuse the mess. My name is Ray Gibson. Kevin Kerrigan with the Guam Daily Post handles all of the news, gathering, and reporting responsibilities here at the radio station. Michael Knight is in charge of pushing all of the buttons and making sure I've got current weather in front of me. And I do actually have some other current weather. Where did it go? I had a whole stack of I thought interesting weather besides the kind that we've got here on Guam. I'll dig around and find it. It's kind of a mess here in the studio so far. 888-8255 is the telephone number, and again, by way of getting the program started, reminders on the different ways that you'll be able to hear the program. 93.3 FM, or if you are connected to the internet, there's a couple of different ways to do it. If you want to say hello and chat with all kinds of people like Adonis Mendiola and Sahara Defensor and Melissa Salas Akimoto and Brad and Ken and all those guys, you can find us. Oh, good morning, Crescinda. You can find us at on Facebook.com. Just go to thepoint.gu, and there should be a link to our live feed from there. And once you're in the live feed, like I said, you can watch what's going on. You can hear what's going on. But I think the real fun part can be sometimes when you interact with everybody else that's also on the screen. So that you can do it that way. If you have to watch, but you need to be anonymous, then go to thepoint.gu. We've got a video feed right there at the top of the website. And now speaking of websites, I don't have the time to put this together. Right. So let me just give you the idea. Okay. I will give you the idea. You go find your web guy. You go ahead and create the domain. But here's what I'm thinking is we need a place where you can go and see all of the magistrate reports. So Kevin just gave you a couple of great stories. That's 2 of about 7 magistrate cases, cases that went before the magistrate and got reported yesterday in the general media. And those are that's the tip of the iceberg. There's crazier stuff out there. And so here's my idea behind the website. It's not just so that you can go and see and read the magistrate cases. It's so that you can go and see and read and then vote on the craziest ones of the day. Which ones of these are the absolute craziest ones? And I don't know, we ought to give free legal defense or something to the people that are involved in these magistrate cases, because it just not. So here's from the crazyguam.com website, right? Here are today's candidates. The guy, the corned beef thief. Did you read about this guy?
I've heard,
like
yes.
49 cans of corned beef.
What was he going to open a store or something?
I mean, I like
not
it too.
clear on that.
I like it too, but how do you steal that much there? What is it? What kind of pockets you got walking around in that?
I think we should look for a cabbage caper somewhere too.
Yeah.
The Tau Mona made me do it.
Oh yeah. The ice head, right? The crackhead that got into a scrap with his girlfriend, left bruises, and the cop said, "How'd you get that?" And he says, "The Tau Mona did it."
I'm not familiar with that word.
It's the spirit of our elders.
Okay.
And tell you what, I think by invoking incorrectly the spirit of the elders and claiming that she got the bruises from the spirits of the elders, who should generally be benign in most families and in most cases, I got a feeling this guy is calling ruination upon himself from those very same spirits. And then there's the idiot. I'm not sure if he's an idiot, just greedy. I think is the way that Mike characterized it. Is the guy that ordered like $4,000 worth of dope from somebody in the States, weed in the States.
Who even mails that? and on top of that, they already had a grow house.
They had a grow house. So here's the thing. Just Google the number of times. Just Google, the number of cases where the people at the post office have discovered somebody was trying to bring in the coke or dope or ice or something like that. They find you all the time. Yeah. This is not uncommon. They get these packages and they've got drug sniffing dogs and all of that stuff, and they find these things, and they've got this whole system. And people don't. The druggies do not know this happened after all of the people that have been hauled before the judges.
I honestly think they just don't know.
Hey, I got this great idea.
They don't know.
I got a guy. He's in California. He can buy some dope from the medical marijuana, whatever, and the dispensary, and he'll just FedEx it to me, or he'll put it in the post office, and he'll get it to me. Like the Louis Pasteur of junkiedom, right? What a brilliant idea. Listen, the post office knows that people are using them to mule that stuff out here, and they have systems in place.
Isn't there enough here already? I mean,
and you can grow it.
Why ship it?
And you can grow the stuff. Marijuana is not that hard to grow. If you figured out that aisle over at Home Depot with all of the things that you need to get a cabbage patch going, or grow cucumbers or dandelions or something,
it works the same.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. I love this stuff. So I don't know. Most people think that marijuana is legal to begin with. I was last night. We get the team from Choice Phone is involved in that paddling deal that's going to be going on in a couple of weeks, and so they asked me if I could come by, assuming that I was going to go and actually paddle with them, and I said no. Tell you what I will do. I will go by there after I'm done running and maybe drink a couple of beers and watch the sunset. And they said, yeah, it's good too. No problem. So I'm having a couple of drinks while I'm watching everybody paddle out there. Good work. Good work. This is row, man. Row. Just go like crazy. They didn't go to Saipan or Rota. They just kind of tool around in Tumon and come back. But so at some point in the sunset, as I was commenting to myself, what a gorgeous sunset it was. We've been lucky. We've been treated to some just outstanding artwork from God lately. And all of a sudden I get...
What's that smell?
There's somebody here enjoying the sunset, too.
Ooh, that smell.
Yeah. And then the wind started blowing in the opposite direction, and then the whole thing went away. I'm telling you, there's people that think it's legal to begin with here anyway. And so we got those kind of crazy the things that I'm amused by something else. Another quote from today's Daily Post that is attributed to the chief of police. He says, I put this out so you realize we're up against what we're up against. Cruz told officers, if we cut to 32-hour work week, folks, it's going to get dicey. I'm telling you, it's already dicey. Just looking at the nature of the crazy that we're talking about here this morning, it's already dicey. There's people out there that just, they need some serious mental health help. And need to get off of whatever it is that they're smoking or drinking or otherwise inhaling because, yeah, it's already dicey. J.I., it's going to get dicier, I think is what you were trying to say in all of that.
A solution is on the way tomorrow at the legislature.
Still, the bet is still $1, right? The bet is still $1. So, but I will say, just by way of patting my own self on the back, I told you nothing was going to happen until BJ got back.
You were right.
I said they can talk all they want to over at the legislature about all kinds of proposals and amendments to the amendments, but nothing going to happen until BJ returns. And BJ came back early. It was scheduled to return today, but my understanding is he came back yesterday. And the line is, wow, there's a lot of meat in this sausage. So let's engross it all together, give everybody a chance to take a look at it, see what's inside, and then Friday, vote on it.
Tomorrow afternoon at 2.
All right, that's the plan. That's the signal.
We'll see how it goes.
We'll see if they've got the 8 votes that they need to carry this and send something over to the governor's office. There are probably, just based on what we already know about the nature of the amendments and a couple of big amendments, you might say that, yeah, they've got the votes to move this thing forward. There are a couple of senators that indicate that they recognize it for what it is. That is a tax increase, and are still not going to support it, no matter what BJ says. So anticipate that there might be a couple of people on the staunch no side. And then there is also the possibility, as I pointed out, that there might be people that will support any and all amendments that show up in this legislation, and at the end of the day, vote no and just say, I don't see where this is going to make a whole heck of a lot of difference when it comes to the income in the territory. And we're just going to have to deal with what we've already got in front of us and start talking about furloughs and 32-hour work weeks and furlough Fridays and all of those things. Nobody wants to see it happen, now, did they take something out yesterday? I was out running around doing things and took advantage of the opportunity not to watch the legislative hearings. So did they take out? I thought that they were putting something in there that was firmer with regard to the governor's fiscal realignment plan.
Right. One of the amendments earlier in the week, San Nicolas Amendment, would have required that fiscal realignment plan to be approved by the legislature before the tax took effect. An amendment yesterday from Senator Adda removed that requirement. All the governor has to do is submit the revised realignment plan, and then the tax increase would take effect if the bill passes.
So, wait. So who is going to approve the plan now? Or is the approval is not required? It just has to exist?
The approval is not required for the tax increase to take effect.
Find Tommy. Find the hammer. And because I need some splains on that. I thought that was kind of the whole idea that led to that amendment. Was so that, yeah, we'll do this and give them 25% over a period of time, and this will expire at the beginning of FY19, but he's got to come forward with another plan, and it has to be approved. And so they took that out. I thought that was the basis of the teeth behind the original amendment.
And that's what some opposition senators said.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of that. Who's the one that said?
Senator Adda and Senator Uggan exchanged a few words.
Let's not try to pull. If I'm reading over the transcript, let's not try to pull a fast one over our people. And I say, in my opinion, point of personal privilege, Senator, Mr. Chairman, nobody is trying to pull a fast one, said Senator Eda. All of a sudden, the BP tax is going to increase from 4 to 5% with no real commitment of budgetary reduction cost or cost reduction for this government, said Senator Uggan, echoed on the morning show on the point by Ray Gibson. Who did I get on line one? Is this the Hammer? Hey, good morning.
Morning.
Hey, good morning. So, just chatting with Kevin Kerrigan here, talking about I don't know, is it a change to an amendment or a different amendment on this measure that I think takes the teeth out of the bite that goes to the governor's office. So, and that was your amendment?
Yes, it was my amendment.
Okay, so.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say. So I missed it on television. So for me and the listeners, because I thought, I'm kind of willing to go along with everything as long as there are hard rails that the governor's office has to follow with regard to fiscal realignment. And so this only says that he has to submit a plan. What's the guarantee that something will happen based on this plan?
Okay. Well, first of all, gotta recognize the fact that the projected cash shortfall is about $67 million.
Mm-hmm.
As a result of this tax bill, the Bill 248 that we're getting ready to vote on tomorrow, that bill will only provide, with the increase in the BPT, will only provide about $30 million for this fiscal year. So it only covers for half of that shortfall.
Mm-hmm.
The other half is going to have to be covered by the governor reducing the government's expenditure, by reducing our government's expenditure by that other $37 million. Now, so that in itself, will basically require that he implements that budget reduction measures. Now, the provision originally was that the governor would submit his fiscal realignment plan, which he did in February.
I recall.
Yes. And but now we're saying, submit it again. Maybe they'll want to do a fiscal realignment plan version 2 based on how the community and the legislature has reacted to at least the budget cuts that he was proposing in that realignment plan that was submitted in February.
I recalled that. There were two things that stand out in my mind. One was a suggestion that the legislature become a part-time body, and the second one was a list of about, was it 15 or 16, just bullet points about, some of the places where the government of Guam can either make some money. I mean, he was talking about marijuana, relaxing the laws on marijuana, making recreational legal. There were a couple of other things, but they were just lines on a piece of paper. They weren't actually plans. They were just, here, you guys chew on this.
Yeah, exactly. And those were the additional options that the legislature might possibly want to take a look at and begin the formulation of policy to implement those things. But going back to the change that was made yesterday, originally the provision was that the governor shall submit a fiscal realignment plan that will reduce the government spending by no less than $30 million, and that the legislature will will review that and will have to adopt it by law. And the amendment that I made was simply, the governor needs to submit his plan. Mm-hmm. And the mere submission of a fiscal realignment plan will trigger the bill to go into effect.
But it doesn't trigger any savings.
What do you mean doesn't trigger any savings? He's going to have to come up with a plan that shows where he's going to cut in government expenditures by at least $30 million. Now, there's the argument some folks were saying, well, there's nothing here that says by law you shall reduce these. But the reality of it is that if he submits and then, the legislature has to basically adopt it by law, we're talking about, basically calling in every department and saying, well, can you really do these cuts, and what are the impacts? And we'll be looking at this for another couple of weeks. But now there's one of the members asked, he says, well, if the governor submits it and we don't have to approve it by law, can we still look at it and say, hey, I disagree with this, we should call the legislature in and let's redo this thing? There's that doesn't preclude the legislature from doing that, but to hold off the effective date of this bill until the legislature enacts or adopts by law the fiscal realignment plan, that's going to stretch this thing out at least another couple of weeks. Now, I submitted that thing on the premise that, in good faith, the governor is going to at least heed how the community has reacted to at least the closures, and that they'll send down something that, really stays away unless absolutely necessary from public health, public safety, and education. And let's take a look at other areas that we might be able to cut first before we start going after the top 3 agencies.
Which was among the first targets of some of these shutdowns and closures and transfers. Well, I got to say, I was kind of hoping that we were going to stay that original course and provide something that had some serious teeth that would hold the governor's feet to the fire. And it's not just Eddie; it's any governor that's in there to make sure that we get these savings and reductions in the cost of government.
Well, the other way to look at it is, if he's only getting, if he has a revenue shortfall projected at $67 million, and he only was given, an option that would generate half of that, generate additional revenues to the tune of $30 million. If he's going to be short another 30, then obviously he won't be able to spend it.
It's like we're shutting things down that are already shut down. So I think that's among the other concerns that I have is that, here's what we'll do. We'll continue to shut things that are already shut down, like the swimming pool and the Paseo Stadium. I'm waiting for him to come back next with another pronouncement that because we don't have the funds, we have to shut down the USO and PD. So we'll put that. We'll put those fictitious savings on the ledger and say, okay, there's $1 million that we can save.
Or we're going to park half of the GRTA buses in the garage.
Exactly, exactly, where they already are. So I worry. I'm happy that you've got the good faith. I just I would prefer that there was something a little bit tougher. I've got a copy of your amendment in front of me. This act shall be effective. And then it strikes out the date upon submission of a fiscal realignment plan by the governor to the Speaker of the Legislature for FY 2018 that reduces net appropriations for fiscal year 2018 by not less than $30 million as compared to Public Law 34-42. We'll talk about this more, but I appreciate your time. So tomorrow, the body will finally have a chance to vote on this.
Yes. Right now, it's scheduled. We're projecting that the engrossed bill will be ready for review by 2:00 tomorrow, and so the legislature will come in. Now, of course, if it gets done sooner, then we'll know that hopefully later this morning to see whether we can push up that voting time.
Understood. We'll keep talking about this. I'll talk to you pretty soon, Tom.
Okay.
All right, 6:36 in the morning. And moving through that, the belated now headlines with Kevin Kerrigan from the Guam Daily Post.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 36 minutes past 6 a.m. In the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning, the Guam Department of Education is investigating an incident in which at least 3 students at Wettengale Elementary School were reportedly hospitalized after being made to stand in the sun. Cassidy Brewer, the mother of one of the students, telling the Post that she found her son shaking with bloodshot eyes when she entered the emergency room at GRMC. The boy was being treated for nausea and dehydration, she said. Brewer said the 5th graders at the Dededo School were made to stand in the sun as punishment and were not allowed water or a bathroom break. Brewer told the Post that her son and another student then collapsed. Guam DOE officials say the incident is under investigation. Public Health has shut down another eating establishment after finding numerous sanitary violations. Mighty Hawaiian Barbecue was shut down yesterday afternoon. Sanitation permit was revoked. Among the many findings, public health inspectors found raw chicken being stored on top of raw beef and fish in the chiller. Dishes were not being washed with sanitizer. Fresh rodent droppings were found in the kitchen floor, and rodent burrows were also observed on the ground outside the back door. An existing commercial building in the heart of Tumon is projected to be converted into a mixed hotel and commercial space. KALS, the owner of K Plaza, submitted an application to the Guam Land Use Commission this week. The owners are asking for an amendment to their current tentative development plan so they can expand the use of the existing structure. The owners want to convert most of the space into a 21-room hotel and provide an opportunity to provide more affordable accommodation options. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
iConnect time in the studios is 6:37. Connect longer for less with iConnect's push-to-talk mobile and internet plans.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
Subway's got your fresh choices for lunch. Sink your teeth into the classic tuna or indulge in the mouthwatering greatness of our seafood sensation. Or try the tasty Veggie Max, a delicious vegetarian patty free of artificial colors and flavors. Visit any of the convenient locations today. It's Subway Fresh. It's what they do.
When the power goes out on Guam, the little things can become surprisingly big. Small comforts are often the things we miss most during a power outage. That is why Kohler built the fastest responding generator sets in the industry. Whether you are at home or away, a residential Kohler generator will enable you and your family to live life without interruption. Kohler gas, LPG, and diesel power systems are available from Morrico Equipment, LLC on Epal Road. Call 649-1946. That's 649-1946.
Hey, you buying or selling some property? Let me point you in the direction of some great trailblazers, and I want to call them rangers here. Guide you through the process. Security Title, providing solutions for even the most complex real estate transactions.
For over 55 years, Community First has served our island as a full-service financial institution. And now, we're proud to introduce the new Community First Student-Run Credit Union, open in Mangilao on Route 10, Guam's first student-run financial institution, which means it's operated by college students like us, ready to serve all our members, existing and new. We're just down the road from UOG and GCC. Community First Guam Federal Credit Union, now open in Mangilao. This credit union is federally insured by NCUA.
Is it traffic time already? Well, there are a lot of cars on the road, but I'm not seeing any serious slowdowns. Just traffic building in some of the usual places, getting out of Route 4 and along Mangilao and looking through the north end of town. Weddingale and that whole area into Route 3 is going to slow down. I've been watching this thing on Route 10 Alpha, and again, I'm not seeing traffic so much stop and go. It just seems to be a lot more folks using that particular roadway this morning. So we'll keep an eye on that as we get through drive time this morning. Traffic, right now traffic, on the point.
Hafade, my name is James Moylan, and I'm running for a seat as your senator. The people of Guam expect more from their leaders, and I intend on delivering. If given the opportunity, I will bring my experiences in the military, public, and private sectors. I understand that during challenging times, tough decisions and an open mind are needed. Your tax dollars also need to be spent wisely. If you expect more from your elected officials and expect them to think outside of the box, then I humbly ask for your support this November. Thank you.
Paid for by the committee to elect James Camacho Moylan for Senator, Carlos Camacho, Treasurer.
Special things only come around once a year, and it's time for fish fans to celebrate the return of Wendy's Cod Filet Sandwich. Wendy's uses the gold standard for fried fish, wild-caught Northern Pacific cod, breaded with panko crumbs to a light crisp. Add a new creamy dill tartar sauce and crisp pickles, and you've got the fish sandwich many say is the best of the bunch. Get yours today at Wendy's, located in Tamuning, Veragata, Agana, Dededo, and Naval Base. Wendy's Cod Filet. Now that's better.
The Ray Gibson Show. News to fill your mind. Talk to get it out.
That's what I had for dinner last night. After I was done with the paddling thing and watching the sunset down in Tumon and smelling the aroma that wafted over the bay. Yeah, that's how some people relax. Who am I to say, right? The cod fillet over at Wendy's, absolutely terrific. But they've also got this other sandwich there with mushrooms. Have you seen that? Mushroom and bacon and Swiss or something like that. And if you don't want it on a burger, you can get it on a big old potato from Wendy's. Yeah, it's so good and so good for you. 6:42 in the morning on the point, and I was talking about weather out in places besides here, and a nor'easter. Is it just me or like people from here shouldn't say nor'easter? You know, unless you're from around that part of the United States in that kind of culture, right?
That's where I'm from, and it's okay. You can say nor'easter.
I'm allowed? Okay. How much is it a time-saving thing? Or why don't you say northeaster? Why is it?
It's one of those, why do people say Oregon instead of Oregon?
Or the people that put the extra R in words, like wash the car. So at the old man's house, temperature is about 33 degrees, feels like 27, might actually be snowing in that part of the country. They are talking about perhaps getting some light snows through there. 6:43 in the morning. And so, but that was one side of the conversation over at the legislature, and the amendment that I guess has everybody a little bit more hopeful that they'll see some kind of passage on this legislation tomorrow. I don't like it very much. I think we need to make sure that there's enough by way of teeth. You know, you got the carrot and you got the stick. We know what the carrot is, but we got to make sure that there's enough stick there so that as the guy, Senator Uggan says it, I think better than anybody else in a press release that he put out yesterday, which is we got to get the government of Guam has got to share the burden the same as everybody else. If you and I have got to pay more by way of taxes for the goods and services that we get in this community, then we got to make sure that the government is also making those same cuts. And when it comes to what happens in the executive branch, that's the governor's call. That's the governor's office. That's their call. They're the ones that have got to figure out all of these numbers and come back to us and tell us what these numbers mean and how they are going to reduce the cost of our government. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're talking about. And so the idea that this is also something that Frank and I agree on. The idea that they're touting savings, we're going to shut this down, we're going to shut that down, and the government of Guam will be able to save some money. And so the intrepid reporters over at the Daily Post, following up on a couple of tips, said, hey, let's go and see the Dededo swimming pool. And they got up to the Dededo swimming pool. It's already closed. So how much are we pretend savings on that? So they go over to the Paseo. And we knew already that the Paseo was closed because we aren't able to watch Major League Baseball there. The MLB is not happening because the place is in a terrible shape and it's dangerous. So we're not going to be able to do anything with the Paseo. So what are we saving there? Is it a big number? So we'll put that, and we're taking action. We're taking steps. We're closing things that are already closed. Like I said, I've started working on a list. This is what's going to show up in the fiscal realignment plan. You know what? It's costing us too much money, that old USO and PD, so we're going to shut that thing down. Well, the USO and PD has been in mothballs for 3 years. The only people that use that anymore are the guys that run these little triathlon sprints down there, and they'll use that as the staging area for the swimming part, and that's where you get on the bicycles, and then you run the race through there.
So under that rationale, I guess the dog track will close next.
We're closing that dog track. We're going to well, that's actually not a doggone it. That's actually not a government of Guam thing. Here,
it could be. Why not?
I'll give you another one. The vocational rehab across from John F. Kennedy High School. We're going to close that thing down. Save some money. Close vocational rehab.
It's been demolished for more than a year.
What about they should just shut down the old DPW building, right?
No, there's actually people in there. There's people working.
No, I
over
mean
there.
the old one.
Where there's an old one?
Yeah, the one that was across from where the Congress building is now, right? That used to be DPW.
Oh, the old administration building.
Thank
That's
you.
right.
Yeah,
The old administration building.
We'll shut that down.
We'll shut that down. We'll save millions. The old DOE headquarters, and again, you shut down. We'll save millions of dollars on that. I'm just saying, I can see it coming. And we'll close things that are already closed, and we'll claim those as fictitious savings, and those will add up to $30 million on the thing. It's not so far-fetched, guys. It's already happening. And as I said, the low-information voters and low-information listeners aren't going to know that the USO and PD has been closed for years, that the old vocational rehab was demolished years ago. What else? What else can you think of? Some of the co-bans in the villages. Yeah, we'll close those things down. I don't know. No, I get it. I get a note from a guy. If it makes the submission to the legislature, it's merely a list of suggestions. Nothing will change, and the government gets the tax increase, and there is no pressure on anybody to go on a diet. So I don't know. I'm trying to figure out if Mike Sinicolas's amendment is still in there, or did that get struck out? I got to get a couple of other guys on the telephone and play around with that. 6:48 in the morning. Speaker B.J. Cruz is back in town, and he's the one that finally put everything together and said, let's engross this. There's a lot that went into the making of this particular ugly sausage, and so we'll engross it, give everybody some time to review it, and then we will vote on it. And so we'll see what happens. It's hard to make a prediction on this because, as I said, they had the votes for a couple of amendments that might still carry it into a kind of law. I am no longer as confident of my position that we've got enough straight, hard backs at the legislature and backbones at the legislature that are going to push back against the tax increase. So here's the deal, kids. Brace yourself. It's coming. Brace yourself. It's coming, and it's going to be coming on top of, no doubt, increases in the cost of electricity. We talked with the guys about that yesterday, and I know we just ate one in February. That was LEAC Part 1. LEAC Part 2 is coming in May. And I forget what the overall numbers are, but your electric bill is going to be going up. Cost of a gallon of gasoline continues to trend upwards, doesn't it? We don't see any rolling back on that. When's the last time anybody told you that they were reducing prices all over the place on things that we need and use every day? So they're all going to be going up. So this whole Trump tax cut that I thought was going to work out better for the people. I thought it was going to work out better for individuals. But as it turns out, the governments, because I'm sure this is happening everywhere else, the governments aren't going to let it happen. They saw how Washington made it so that you'd have a few extra dollars in your pocket, and they absolutely couldn't live without them. And so now you've got to pony that back up so the government of Guam can continue to live like the Kardashians. That's the way I think about it. That's the way I think about it. You can agree, disagree. 888-8255 is the telephone number here at the radio station. Love to get your thoughts on this. You can also email them to me if you like. The email address is the Ray Gibson Show. Sorry, not the Ray Gibson Show, just Ray Gibson Show at gmail.com. I can't read all of the emails I get on the air, but I guarantee that I will read all of the emails and see what's happening. Looking to find John Fernandez. I did get a note on the Point page at Facebook with a buddy of mine asking a question about what was he going on about? It had to do with substitute teachers over in the Department of Education. He says there seems to be a little bit of a conflict going on. GDOE needs to clarify the issue on the subs. In print, they say limited use of subs. That's supposed to be their how they're going to be saving some money in the Department of Education, but in the schools, it is being taken as no subs effective the 19th of March. Can you get GDOE to state exactly what's up? Yeah, Frank, I'll see what I can do on that. And maybe there is something that we can come up with on that to get you an answer. But frankly, that's not what I think is the most important thing to ask John Fernandez this morning. I need to find out from John Fernandez who over at Weddingale is watching too much Bridge on the River Kwai. When they're talking about issuing some kind of corporal punishment, they haven't been able to spank the kids in years. But I suppose you still got to retain some kind of control over the classroom. So all of the details aren't in yet. I've seen everything I need to see. Somebody got a really active imagination on punishment. Go outside and stand in the sun for 40 minutes, no bathroom breaks, no water.
Under investigation.
Unbelievable. Like I said, somebody a little bit too much time watching Bridge on the River Kwai and the Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence, and all of that stuff. 9 away from the top of the hour. Good morning, John.
Hey, good morning. How's it going?
I'm okay. I'm just annoyed at the recent developments. I thought it was a decent package that they had going into the session yesterday, but I guess that's the problem is you've got to, you can't resist the temptation to meddle, right?
Right. Well, you kind of hit it on the head when you said gas prices, everything is all, they're all, bound to rise, and power bills. But the Trump tax breaks, that is a phenomenal idea. But the only reason why it will not work is because government is not going to be held accountable to start cutting their expenditures. That was the whole idea of that, is to get the government to get rid of all the waste. So I think we need to hold our government more accountable and not say, like what they're trying to say in our legislature, let's go in and allow the governor to submit it, rather than, let's see what you have first, and then we'll talk about taxes. So I don't know why our legislatures, some of them are backpedaling. Let's hold the governor to account, because I'm glad the Post even realized, how do you close a pool that's been closed?
Somebody sent me another, to add to the list of things that we can pretend to close that are already closed. Somebody said, close the ODOT dump. Brilliant idea. We'll save billions. We'll knock out that $30 million in no time.
Yeah, we were talking about it. Sometimes, people need to close their mouth too.
Oh, John, I tell you what, this is what annoys me the most about all of this is we've been here before. We have been here countless times, and we taxpayers, you and I, guys out here in the middle class that apparently have to subsidize and support everything, we've been told time and time again, there's gonna be reorganization. We're gonna do it this time. We're gonna reorganize the government. We're gonna be a lean, mean government machine. And I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, so it has to raise the question, when are we as a people going to get tired of everything going up, all these fat cats getting fat, and all of us struggling to survive, and they just keep putting it up on us to cover their lack or inability to control their expenditures? legislatures.
Well, this is what I think is happening, John. This is what I think is going on is there is a successful whispering campaign that is leading over to the legislature, and you know, it's, I hate to put it this way, but there's 11,000 of these people that work in the government of Guam. Not all of them are fat cats. Some of them are actually in there plugging away and just doing the job for which they were hired to do. But I think there's a whole bunch of others that are protecting their rice bowl. And they're the ones that are getting to these senators and talking to them about woe is going to be on us, and what a disaster this is going to be for the economy of the island if we don't if we lose 20% of our $100,000 income. Right? I think there's a lot of people that have found a way to get to the senators and whisper in their ears and say, well, this is going to be just terrible, and you have to do something about it.
So that's why I say they can whisper, but we as a people need to go and start not whispering, but getting in their ears and in their face and saying, look, that's 11,000 in the government. They've got families, they've got bills to pay. I get that. But what about the 50-plus folks in the private sector that are going to have to eat that? So it has to be a balance across the board to say, we'll make some cuts or even pay a little more, but you have to first and foremost show us that you're going to be accountable to make the appropriate cuts.
Mm-hmm.
Then I don't think we as a people would mind that.
Somewhere out there, Bob Klitsky is smiling, hearing you say, "Show me, show me," because he's been asking the legislature to do that for weeks. Show me, and now we don't have to be shown anymore. All he's got to do, all the governor's office got to do, is throw some papers down there and say, "Okay, here's my fiscal realignment plan. Where's my taxes?"
And that is ridiculous. And for one of the senators to say, well, he's been here for 8 years, and to be able to call into question his ability to make right decisions, hello, he hasn't made some good decisions. So you have to hold him accountable.
Well, we'll keep doing what we do here at the radio station. I can only control what happens in my force field, and that's it. The rest of it has got to be guys like you reaching out and calling the guys over at the legislature and say, hey, listen, before you go into this tomorrow, you better know the impact that it's going to have on me. And I am already impacted.
Yes.
With everything that's already happened.
Hopefully things turn out for the better.
Yeah, I got my fingers crossed. Always do. All right, I'll see you pretty soon, John.
Take care.
Have a great morning. Closing in on 7 o'clock in the morning. Plenty to talk about. Plenty of people out there that need to get some radio time to talk about things that have gone on over at the legislature yesterday and where we might be headed today. Are we all in the same boat? Yes, we are all in the same boat. And I won't do the thing with the numbers this time, but it's just a reminder, not everybody is riding in first class on this boat. There's some people whose hard-earned dollars and cents are making this boat go, and there's a bunch of people that say, oh, don't worry, I'll pay my fair share of taxes out of my much larger paycheck up here in first class. For everybody, the beer is still $6 a piece. Maybe I'll explain all of that a little bit later on. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. You're listening to radio station KUSG Hagutnya. That's what they call us over at the Federal Communications Commission. Around town, we're just known as The Point, and I appreciate you listening and watching on Facebook and watching on thepoint.gu. Ray Gibson Show at gmail.com. If you want to reach out, you want to talk, 888-8255. Fox News is coming up next.
Live from New York, the Fox Report.
I'm Lisa Brady. 1 month since the Florida school shooting, students around the country walk out of class and send a message to Congress.
If you don't give us stricter background checks, heavier restrictions on AR-15 style weapons, and easier access to mental health institutions and resources, you will pay dearly at the ballot box.
The House did pass a school safety bill today, but it's not about guns. Fox's Jared Halpern, live on the Hill.
Republicans and Democrats mostly supported the Stop School Violence Act, supporters calling it a part of the solution to stem school shootings.
We will not stop. We have heard the young people, we have heard their families, and we're going to continue to listen.
Indiana Republican Susan Brooks. Republican leaders say more legislation is coming, including a bill designed to increase information sharing to the criminal background check system. Democrats want debates on expanding background checks to more gun sales and restricting access to some firearms. Lisa.
Thanks, Jared. The president picks a new top economic advisor. Fox's John Decker, live at the White House.
The White House confirms that conservative TV and radio business commentator Larry Kudlow has accepted the job of White House National Economic Council Director. He replaces outgoing director Gary Cohn, who resigned last week from the post. Kudlow on CNBC's Closing Bell said he disagreed with the president's decision to impose certain tariffs.
My problem with the steel and aluminum tariffs, as they were originally announced, is that it might do harm to American users of steel and aluminum.
Despite that criticism, Kudlow has also praised the president's work on tax reform. Lisa?
Thanks, John. A report the president might respond to unfair trade practices by China, reigniting trade jitters on Wall Street. The Dow down 248 points. On the Fox Report, fair and balanced.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. My student loan is totally paid off.
I can't believe it.
I can't believe it either. I paid more than the minimum each month, and soon enough, it was gone.
So you're just giving up?
Giving up on what?
The life of luxury. Egyptian cotton, caviar Thursdays, designer everything.
What are you talking about?
Our plan. What happened to winning the lottery and mastering the art of the perfect mimosa? Hosting galas, wearing enough jewelry to require a bodyguard, vacationing in the French Riviera, and then buying it.
I just thought maybe it was time to prepare for my future. You know, set some financial goals, make some smart investments, open a 401k.
Financial goals? Investments? A 401k? You are horrifying right now. Listen, if winning the lottery were easy, everyone would do it.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
The U.S. says Russia must account for its actions after the poisoning of a former Russian spy in Britain.
If we don't take immediate concrete measures to address this now, Salisbury will not be the last place we see chemical weapons used. They could be used here in New York or in cities or of any country that sits on this council.
U.S. Ambassador Nikki Haley calling it a defining moment at a UN Security Council meeting. Russia still denies any involvement, but Britain says Moscow is to blame for the use of a Soviet-era nerve agent that left the former spy and his daughter in critical condition and sent 19 others for medical treatment. Prime Minister Theresa May kicking 23 Russian diplomats out of the country as punishment. Nearly 24 hours after the polls closed, a Pennsylvania House race remains too close to call. Democrat Connor Lamb leading Republican Rick Saccone by several hundred votes and claiming victory. Thousands of absentee ballots still being counted. Saccone could seek a recount. All 4 counties involved have agreed to his campaign's request to impound ballots and voting machines just in case. Attorneys are also looking into reports of possible voting irregularities. A singles website could end up with a date in court.
A transgender woman from Portland, Oregon, suing Tinder, claiming the dating app deleted her account hours after she updated her profile to show she identified as transgender. Ariel Hawkins says not long after adding she was a pre-op trans woman to her bio, she received an email from Tinder saying she violated the app's user agreement, but says Tinder did not specify what she had done wrong. Hawkins says her profile photos abided by Tinder's guidelines, adding she changed her information because she wanted to be transparent and straightforward.
Fox's Christian Goodwin, TMZ reporting Hawkins wants a judge to order the site not to discriminate against transgender users. I'm Lisa Brady on Fox News Radio.
The Tom Shalhoub Show.
For over 55 years, Community First has served our island as a full-service financial institution. And now, we're proud to introduce the new Community First Student-Run Credit Union, open in Manila on Route 10, Guam's first student-run financial institution, which means it's operated by college students like us, ready to serve all our members, existing and new. We're just down the road from UOG and GCC. Community First Guam Federal Credit Union, now open in Manila. This credit union is federally insured by NCUA.
Come out for the 4th annual Chucky Run and Fun 5K, 2K, and Flyaway giveaway. Join us Saturday, April 14th at Chuck E. Cheese's Guam. Show at 5:30 and go at 6 a.m. T-shirts, medals, and other cool prizes, refreshments, and indoor activities after the races. Grand prize drawing for all participants is a trip package for 2 to Manila. Register at Chuck E. Cheese's Guam. $8 for students, $12 for adults, and Group of 4 Super Saver for just $35. The 4th annual Chuck E. Run and Fun 5K, 2K, and Flyaway giveaway. See you there.
GPSI Guam is a professional services company that is a registered contractor for the federal government. They're an SBA, 8A, and Hub Zone certified SDVOSB, providing program/project management, administration, technical support, logistics, and commodities. Find out more about GPSI and how they can help you today. For large prime companies, contact GPSI if you need assistance in meeting your small business subcontracting goals at 477-3058. They'll be happy to assist.
Are you a veteran or on active duty looking for a home loan and VA eligible? Then Bank Pacific stores are open to you, where we are a VA approved preferred lender. That simply means we can give you faster credit approvals and loan closing. And with today's super low rates, you just can't go wrong. Bank Pacific's My VA Loan, where we're open to closing your loan in a hurry.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal housing lender, credit conditions apply. Viva Bank Pacific.
At GTA, we believe you deserve better than home internet with hidden data fees. That's why all our internet plans are unlimited, because binging movies in bed shouldn't make you want to hide under the covers when the bill arrives. So the choice is yours. Bill shock with the other guys, or a life unlimited with GTA. Say goodbye to hidden data fees and make the switch today. GTA, your island, your network.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 7 a.m. this Thursday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Guam Police Chief Joseph Cruz informing his officers yesterday there's a strong possibility of layoffs in the next fiscal year. The department already bracing for a reduced 32-hour work week as a result of the governor's executive order. The chief met with some of his officers at the Dededo precinct yesterday, telling them no one is exempt from the executive order. He said layoffs would be determined by performance and on the basis of first in, first out. He said the police department has already taken measures to reduce costs by suspending all overtime for police officers assigned to executive security, scrutinizing all other overtime, and minimizing absences and leave. But he said if we cut to a 32-hour work week, it's going to get dicey. More than a dozen public school students went down to the legislature yesterday afternoon to urge action on a tax bill to help DOE avoid the looming austerity measures threatening the island's public schools. In the face of the current fiscal crisis, Guam DOE has to cut its budget by over $19 million in the remaining months of this fiscal year alone. To meet that goal, the Education Board Tuesday night authorized the initiation of a 32-hour work week and began planning to delay the opening of the school year until October 1st. Hannah Duenas, a student at Southern High School, said she went to the legislature to remind lawmakers that 2,000 DOE students are already eligible to vote and thousands more will reach voting age soon. Lawmakers yesterday put off until tomorrow action on the tax bill pending before them. Yesterday they rose from the Committee of the Whole and scheduled a vote for the measure on Friday afternoon at 2. Speaker Benjamin Cruz advising the body that it'll take a few days to engross the bill because of all the amendments to it. Governor Calvo issuing a statement yesterday expressing concern about the additional delay, but on a positive note, the governor said, now there is movement, and we appreciate that because now we're on our way to getting a roadmap. We are hopeful it passes, said the governor. We need stability. GovGuam facing a projected $67 million revenue shortfall in the remainder of this fiscal year as a result of the federal tax reforms passed by Congress in December. We'll have more news after this.
$7 meal from Circle K. Get your choice of 2 Nathan's all-beef hot dogs or a half-pound Nathan's all-beef footlong, a big wrap bag of chips, and any size Polar Pop. That's a giant deal of a meal, all for only $7. Circle K. Take it easy.
Subway's got your fresh choices for Lent. Sink your teeth into the classic tuna or indulge in the mouth-watering greatness of our seafood sensation. Or try our tasty Veggie Max, a delicious vegetarian patty free of artificial colors and flavors. All our subs are served on freshly baked bread paired with vegetables, cut fresh daily in restaurants, and sauces that are sure to excite your taste buds. Visit any of our convenient locations today at Subway. Fresh is what we do.
11 minutes past 7 a.m. here at The Point. The Guam Department of Education investigating an incident in which at least 3 students at Wettengale Elementary School were reportedly hospitalized after being made to stand outside in the sun. Cassidy Brewer, the mother of one of the students, said she found her son shaking with bloodshot eyes when she entered the emergency room at GRMC. The boy was being treated for nausea and dehydration, she said. Brewer said the 5th graders at the Dededo School were made to stand in the sun as a punishment and were not allowed water or a bathroom break. She said her son and another student collapsed and were taken to the hospital. Guam DOE officials say they're looking into the reported incident. Public Health has shut down another eating establishment after finding numerous sanitary violations. Mighty Hawaiian Barbecue shut down yesterday. The sanitation permit was revoked. Among the findings, public health inspectors found raw chicken being stored on top of raw beef and fish in the chiller. Dishes were not being washed with sanitizer. Fresh rodent droppings were found in the kitchen and at the back door. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Here's Ray with the weather.
A heaping cup of salmonella. Huh? How about that? Today, partly cloudy skies and isolated showers. Easterly winds to 20 miles an hour. Daytime highs 88 degrees. For tonight, there's partly cloudy skies, more isolated showers. Again, those easterly winds blowing up to about 20 miles an hour. And overnight lows 76 degrees. When I got into the ridgeline this morning, it said 77 degrees. I think we're beginning to make that move from March into April into May as we change our season here.
Yeah, we say that, but there's another surge that may push in, and it
surge?
could lower the dew points this weekend, and
really?
we could see some more very cool temperatures.
Oh,
stand by.
I will love reporting that. Sunrise this morning was at 6:28. Sunset tonight at 6:31. That's news and weather together here on The Point.
Triple J says yes. 0 down? Yes. 1.9% financing? Yes. Easy trade-in? Yes. No payments for 90 days? Yes. We'll have you saying yes, too, to these amazing deals. Like our big boy truck, the Ford F-150 at only $217 per paycheck. Or the top safety pick Mazda CX-5 Sport at only $194 per paycheck. Or turn heads in the Mazda 3 Sport or the sleek and sophisticated Kia Soul. Both for only $129 per paycheck. Visit us online at triplejguam.com. Some conditions apply. See dealer for details. Triple J. Customers first.
This portion of the program is brought to you by King's Restaurant, serving Guam favorites to families for over 40 years. King's Restaurant, always open and always local.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,500 by calling Family Finance in Hagåtña at 475-4545, Upper Tuon 647-5626, or in Dededo 633-4473. Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959.
The Ray Gibson Show. Any speaker, anytime. Watch and listen live on thepoint.gu.
Watch the Monkey perform on thepoint.gu or Facebook Live. Hey, great to be here. Absolutely love it. Couldn't want to be anywhere else talking about anything else but the issues and the topics that we have right in front of us right now. A couple of numbers I want to throw your way. The West Texas crude trading at $60.95. That number is up from where it was yesterday. Let me scooch down on the list and see what it says about the Tapis crude. For those of you that have just discovered the show, asking why does he care about Tapis crude? Shouldn't West Texas be enough? West Texas is a benchmark for oil prices that you might find in the U.S. mainland. Out here in this part of the world, specifically Guam, our oil that turns into gasoline comes from Malaysia. It is sweet Tapis, and it is trading at $66.16. Off, but only by about 25 cents. So I wouldn't anticipate today to be the day where we see the prices start tumbling on all of the gas station signs that we've got out there. 7:15, and let me take a look at what happened in the markets today. You might have heard the lady on Fox News talking about the Dow Jones Industrial Average being off. Looks like they'll start tomorrow at about 248 points lower, 24,758 in the red by about 1% for the Dow Jones Industrial Average. The NASDAQ at 74.96, off by 14 points, and the S&P 500 again off by a skosh, about 2,749 for them. Nikkei trading at 21,777. They're off by almost a percent as well. And what are we doing on prices here? 106.3, virtually unchanged. We're in that area where the yen is about worth a penny, which makes it's fairly easy. If you're traveling in Japan, you don't have to make that conversion. You just look at the price and move over a couple of digits, because that's what it's going to end up being.
That's nice. That's something even I could manage.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm not a math guy.
And look, if you're traveling in Japan, it's expensive. It doesn't make any difference where you are. It's going to be expensive. Although I will say, you can get a pretty good deal at the vending machines in Japan. You can get, and I do this whenever I am there. I don't bother with the hotel coffee, because over in the room where they keep the ice is usually a vending machine in there that will give you a cup of coffee for about 120 yen. It's about $1.20 for one of these things. Okay. And you can get it both ways. You can get it iced coffee if you're crazy, or you can get it. They've got it where you can heat them up. I've just never. Are you an iced coffee drinker? Will you ever take an iced coffee?
I'll take any coffee.
What about you? Do iced coffee?
I like the Frappuccino bottles, but I don't like coffee like with ice in it. I don't go to a coffee place and
for them to But I mean,
if I get it out of a machine or myself,
the question is just cold coffee. I mean, are you a cold coffee guy? Because I know some people. I cannot drink cold coffee. I just can't do it. If it gets any cooler than near room temperature, I've either got to throw it out or nuke it.
I drink the Frappuccinos because it's like chocolate milk for grown-ups.
Exactly.
That's basically what it is.
Just levitating all day long. All right, what are some of the big stories that Bloomberg's talking about here? Tesla employees say automaker is churning out a high volume of flawed parts requiring costly rework. They learned that from some of the other luxury car manufacturers. Forecast sees economic growth possibly below 2% to start the year. Not good news at the White House, I'm sure. And what's that says? I hope you're sitting down before I show you this next chart, says the traders. There's got to be good news out there. No, I'm not seeing anything. Disney is announcing a strategic reorganization effective immediately. I might want to read that story and see what that's about a little bit later on. 7:17, so that's basically what's going on in the markets. Before we get to the extra point, though, I did want to make a point about talking about this. The Guam Department of Labor's AJC labor clinics now for businesses in April 2018. Now, they're still, I think, churning through a couple of great courses that they're offering to people in March. And I'll see if I can get those classes for you. But if you've got people in the office, certainly HR folks, for sure, HR folks, and anybody that is of any kind of supervisory capabilities probably needs to attend some of these. On the 10th, they have a course on non-discrimination provisions. On the 12th, another contracting with the government of Guam. And if you talk to the health insurance companies, contracting with the government of Guam means getting really, really happy when they sign the contract and then holding your breath for 6 or 7 months until they pay you. Huh. You read that story. That's interesting. And then fair employment practices, EEO's general provisions. And if you've got a federal ticket, guys, this is a must attend. Because that's where, I know for me and my business, that's one of the places where the FCC loves to pinch you is on making sure that you're following the guidelines of EEO. Employing guard and service members, also vital. That one will take place on the 24th. And understanding worker compensation provisions in the private sector, that one will take place on the 26th. So like I said, anybody that's doing any supervisory work or HR work probably needs to get a hold of somebody at the Department of Labor. Karen Taitano Primacio is the one that I would call because she's the one that sent me this email. Or if you know Greg Massey, they'll be able to hook you up and let you know where and when and all of that. Now, at 7:20, we've got time for this morning's Extra Point with Jerry Roberts.
CEO, the boss, the head honcho. But what do the letters CEO mean? I'm Jerry Roberts, and my take on that is next on the Extra Point. Chief Executive Officer, CEO. Generates the vision and direction of the organization, charts the course, makes the big decisions. Yeah, all that. What else does CEO stand for? As I stared at those letters a couple of days ago, a rush of thoughts came forward. The C is for cheerleader. Every employee ought to be excited when they see you coming, not looking for a place to hide, because you've got energy, a smile, encouraging words, high fives, fist bumps, recognition, and praise. I'm absolutely serious, a cheerleader. The E is for evangelist. In this case, evangelist is defined as a person who seeks to convert others to his or her beliefs. You have to be the #1 proponent for your organization and what you deliver. You must be a believer and share that light with others. If not you, then who? Then get beyond competitive issues. Be an evangelist for your industry too. How about the O? What would you say for the O? The word opportunist came into my head, and I like that. We need opportunities to be successful, and we need to capitalize on them. But then something else came to mind, something that helps a leader take advantage of opportunities. The O is for, you ready? Outsourcer. The leader must do only those things that have the best chance to propel the organization forward. He, she must work on the business, not in the business. Every task that doesn't maximize use of the leader's skills and advances the company must be delegated to somebody else. In fact, if you're the leader, you must be a delegating ninja. You must look at the things on your plate and be absolutely brutal about it, handing off everything that doesn't require your specific talents and purpose. Let other people take on those jobs. If they're not prepared to do that, train them and then load them up. When the plate is full for one, load up the next one. But I can't afford to do that right now, you might say. Fine, then do what you can to make yourself more efficient and likely more profitable. Then hire more people as your finances allow. Just make it one of your primary goals to get out from under jobs and responsibilities that somebody else can do, thereby freeing you up to grow the organization. CEO, cheerleader, evangelist, outsourcer. That's the Extra Point. Get out there and make something good happen today. For 93.3, I'm Jerry Roberts.
I'm thinking you do all that delegation to give you time to hit the golf course. I thought that was the whole point, right? That's why you get to be a manager.
Well, that's what Trump does.
That's where business takes place on the golf course.
That's right, sure. All the big deals are out there. 7:23 in the morning. That's the Extra Point with Jerry Roberts. For a transcript, go to GuamTraining.com and the World Wide Web. Take a look at traffic next.
Chili's has the seafood you crave, the flavors you love, at a great price with our 3 for Me Lent menu. For just $15, you can get a beverage, fresh salad, and a Lent-friendly entree. First, choose from a refreshing Coca-Cola, iced tea, or Heineken on draft. Then enjoy a fresh house salad right before you indulge in your choice of a mouth-watering entree, like our spicy shrimp tacos, savory Cajun pasta with shrimp, or our flavorful grilled ancho salmon. Chili's 3 for Me Lent menu for just $15. Available for a limited time. Chili's, more life happens here.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Route 3, outbound, getting heavy. If you're you're coming from that area, yeah, I see what you're trying to do here. It's not going to be pretty. Route 3 into GRMC, and you're going to join a line of traffic that's already busy on Marine Corps Drive as everybody is trying to head southbound today. That, as I say, is going to be no fun. Route 27 Alpha, over by the swimming pool that shut down. Down in that area, looks like we've got starting to see some slowing down there as you're getting to Army Drive. But once you hit Route 16, you should be in pretty good shape. Coming up from the Tarza Hill towards Marine Corps Drive, as usual at this time, a little bit of slowing down here. Traffic beginning to build in all kinds of places up and down Marine Corps Drive and through 14 Alpha. That's the road that goes from PIC up the hill towards John F. Kennedy High School and the Kmart Place. Anybody else that needs to be notified about traffic? Let me just quick 8, 10, 16. Hold on a second. That intersection looks like it is very clear at this time, but you will, as usual, see a little bit of a slowdown coming out of that intersection. So once you've made it through, you still got to, chug all the way to that one good entrance to Tiedzen. Well, it's the one good official entrance to Tiedzen. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but there's all kinds of people with sturdier vehicles that are kind of making their own path between Route 16 and where they keep the football fields that we're going to shut down before long. So just be aware of all of that. 7:25, that's the traffic on The Point.
We have those moments in our lives that happen unpredictably. The unexpected instances that we did not really need. Yeah, you can count on us to stay well, Papa, to live well, Papa, to stay well, making sure you stay well. Oh, we'll lift you up when times are low. I'll see how far we'll go and stay well.
Stay Well Insurance. See how far we'll go.
Some weird kind of lurchy music we got playing right now, but it meets the requirements. It fills in the time from the end of the commercials until I can start talking again. What would normally happen is that we would play a intro of a popular record from a variety of formats, but we don't do that here, primarily because I like to send the feed of this program to Facebook, and the way Facebook has written all of their rules, they don't want me. They don't want to be responsible for having to worry about copyrights and things like that. So it's easier for us to just play nobody owns this music. It's like these fiscal disasters that we have. Nobody owns it. It's everybody's fault. And it's everybody's problem, and it's going to be our problem. That's where I left off in the last hour. Kids, we're going to have to brace ourselves, unfortunately, for tax increases. They're going to be coming, and there's nothing that is going to stop it. They made a change in an amendment that was originally supported by the body, and it was Senator St. Nicholas's amendment that and let me just call it up. I don't want to hem and haw my way through this. Let me just call up the actual amendment and what was changed on that.
Required the submission of the fiscal realignment plan and approval of that plan.
The act shall be effective after the enactment of a fiscal realignment plan by the governor of Guam to the Speaker of the Legislature for FY 2018. And Tom Atta changed that yesterday and said that, and the body approved that the act shall be effective upon submission of a fiscal realignment plan by the governor to the Speaker of the Legislature for fiscal year 2018. So it takes a little bit of what I like to call the hard rail at the edge and makes it so that the governor need only do, frankly, what he's already done. That the body has rejected, to put together another 150 pages or so of that plan that was offered to the legislature back in February, and say, okay, here you go. And that means that we can trigger that 25% increase in the business privilege tax effective as soon as it happens.
Submission only.
Submission only. That's the only thing that is required. And if that is the handwriting on the wall from the legislature, there's going to be an increase in taxes. I did my best. I talked about it, talked to the players, thought we were moving in the right direction. But as I said, I think a lot of guys lost their guts. I think there were some backbones there that I thought were a little bit more rigid than they are. Apparently, that's not the case. And so now we are left with this. And if you're thinking, well, I guess that's all right because we're all going to pay the tax. We're all going to be in this boat together. We're all going to be in this boat together with the additional tax. We're all going to pay more by way of gasoline prices. I'm sure there will be increases down the road. We know that there's going to be increases in the cost of electricity. That's was decided months ago. And so, as I say, brace yourself. Do what you got to do, right? There are people for whom there is no bracing. There's people that this is all the money I get every month from Social Security. This is all I get from my retirement. This is it. And so if you're telling me that I got to pay more at the grocery store, if you're telling me I got to pay more to keep the lights on, then I got to find some place to cut. And where for a lot of people is that going to be?
Turn the lights off.
It's already dark in this town. There's already a lot of people that, and you see it. You see, and I sometimes wonder when I pass in the neighborhoods, in the villages, you see all these people out in the garage at night, right? And they're thinking, boy, what a wonderful family they must be. They get all this outside time, and kids are outside playing. I know why they're outside, because it's expensive to stay inside. You go inside, you turn on the air conditioning and the lights and the TV and everything, and you watch the meter spin around a whole lot faster. Oh, I did get a call from somebody yesterday, and I got to find some physics guys or an engineer or somebody over at where's the place? GPA. I got a call from somebody who says, do this experiment with an electric clock at your house. He says, if you plug it into the wall, you set the time, and then don't look at it for a few days. You come back and you look at the time, and it's faster by minutes, right?
Or blinking.
Or blinking. No, it's not that. He says it's faster. And then I said, what do you think is happening? And he says, I think GPA is running the system at a few cycles more to make the meters go faster so they can collect more money. And so I'm sitting there thinking, I am trying to, amateur extra class radio operator, right? I've got the skills. I get the science in my head, and I'm going, he might actually have a point here with this. I'm not sure, so I want to find somebody that might be able to provide.
And I always thought that was my old electric clock misbehaving.
No, it's all based on 60 cycles. They run the machines based on 60 cycles.
That's
so
interesting.
If GPA is pushing 65 cycles, it won't damage the equipment. It just makes the motor spin faster, right? So that's why your clock would be fast all the time. I don't know. It's his conspiracy theory. I'm just adopting it for the record. 7:30 or so in the morning, and time for a quick look at headlines with Kevin Kerrigan from the Guam Daily Post.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. It is 32 minutes past 7 a.m. In the headlines from the Daily Post this morning, lawmakers yesterday recessing their special session without taking action on the sales tax bill before them. Speaker Benjamin Cruz advising the body it'll take a couple of days for the tax bill to be engrossed because of all the amendments that have been added to it. He scheduled a resumption of the session for 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon when they're expected to take a final vote on the proposed tax increase. In reaction, Governor Calvo issuing a statement yesterday expressing concern about the additional delay, but on a positive note, he said, now there's movement, and we appreciate that because now we're on our way to getting a roadmap. We're hopeful it passes, said the governor. We need stability. The planned closure of 2 public facilities can be counted out of GovGuam's recently announced cost savings plans. That's because they're already closed. The Dededo swimming pool has been shut down since late last year for renovation. It remains closed. Pool is empty. And the Paseo Stadium was also on the list for closure, but it too is already shut down. It was closed in mid-February after chunks of concrete began falling from beams above the seating area behind home plate. Also on Monday's cost-cutting list, still slated for closure on Saturday, are the Teason Ball Fields, the Dededo Sports Complex, the Adelup Front Lawn Field, and Guerrero Field. A job fair is scheduled for 11 o'clock this morning at the Hilton for workers needed in the CNMI. Pacific Rim Constructors hopes to add hundreds of skilled U.S. tradesmen to its workforce. Company is under contract to build the Imperial Pacific Resort on Saipan. Pacific Rim president and owner Keith Stewart said they want to build the resort with local workers, just like they built the Dusitani here on Guam. Phase 1 of the Saipan Pacific Resort calls for the construction of a 140,000 square meter luxury holiday property with 340 rooms, 14 stories tall. The Northern Marianas government has set an August deadline for 250 of those rooms to be completed. Minimum wage in the CNMI, however, $7.05 an hour. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
Well, I remember when that was decent money. seven
Right?
and a nickel an hour. Really? I'm trying to think of what you can get away with in the CNMI with that kind of money rattling around in your pocket. Gasoline prices are much more expensive.
Cup of coffee.
Yeah. Or maybe a can of coffee if you want. But that's where it looks like where some of those opportunities are going to be. And wouldn't that just be a kick in the head if all of the skilled labor on Guam that all the contractors on Guam are looking for get on that United flight up to the CNMI to take these jobs?
They won't get paid minimum wage, but they probably won't get as much as they could get here.
Yeah, but depending on who's doing the hiring and who's doing the work, your skills have a value. Ask for that value when you're looking for the job. The guy's pointing at his watch. That means I got to tell you what time it is. 7:35 is iConnect time. Hop on over to iConnect and receive a free gift and automatic entry to win an iPhone X with every new 12-month plan from now until Easter.
Relax, enjoy, and be greeted by the spectacular view of Hagåtña Bay when you visit the Point at the Sheraton Laguna Guam. Gaze into the beautiful sunset as you unwind to the music of Philip Garcia and Natasha on Wednesdays, Mama Shar and Nina on Thursdays, Philip Garcia and Louise Munia on Fridays, and Jack Larimer on Saturdays. Open daily from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. Happy hour from 5 to 8 p.m. with all cocktail drinks for $7. Receive a discount when you present your SPG card. Call Peter Yaban at 646-2222 for reservations at the Point at the Sheraton Laguna Guam Resort.
Are you waiting too long for a home loan decision? Are you looking for a bank that understands your needs and can close your loan quickly at today's super low rates? Then come no further than Bank Pacific. Our home loan specialists are friends and neighbors from your community, and our decisions are made right here in Hagåtña. Bank Pacific, where we're open to closing your loan in a hurry.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal housing lender, credit conditions apply. Viva Bank Pacific.
Is it time for the traffic? Yeah, it is. You can tell because the traffic music is playing in the background. Is there anything to tell you about right now? As mentioned about Route 8 on the other side of 8, 10, and 16 southbound. Well, I told you the traffic was building, and it looks like it's getting heavier between 8, 10, and 16 and the Golden Sea intersection. It is matching traffic that is getting heavier on Marine Corps Drive at the north, the south end of Gigo and the north end of Dededo as you make your way through that short corridor towards Route 3, and folks already lining up at that intersection to get onto Marine Corps Drive. But once you do, it doesn't look like it's going to be much of a problem as most of that corridor is open until you get around Kmart and John F. Kennedy intersection. That is about all you need to know about in traffic for right now at 7:37 on The Point.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking built by highly skilled local technicians so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
Wendy's welcomes the new Smoky Mushroom Bacon Cheeseburger, featuring smoky sauteed portobello mushrooms, melted Asiago cheese, crispy applewood smoked bacon, and crunchy fried onions atop a juicy beef patty. For those craving the same great taste, Wendy's Smoky Mushroom Bacon Potato is also loaded with sauteed portobello mushrooms, cheddar cheese sauce, and crispy applewood smoked bacon. Here for a limited time, get a delicious Smoky Mushroom Bacon Cheeseburger and Smoky Mushroom Bacon Potato today. Wendy's. Now that's better.
Yeah, that's where I like to see things headed. Welcome to the Ray Gibson Show on The Point. My name is Ray. Kevin does the news. He's got another big round of news coming your way after the top of the hour newscast from the guys over at Fox News. 888-8255. Give Michael Knight something to do in the studio. Call up that number, and he will pick it up and take your name and stick it in our call screening gizmo so I know it's you. You know, we're talking about that job fair that is taking place today at the Hilton's Gallery from 11 until 2. Jobs looking to hire guys that might be able to go get on an airplane and do some work up in Saipan for some of the projects that Pacific Rim has got going on up there. Project managers and engineers, estimators, superintendents, quality control representatives. I can do that job. I would kick butt as a quality control guy. I just go, look at something and say, that's junk.
Definitely not minimum wage jobs either, are they?
No. That looks like supervisory stuff, right? Sure. And I love bossing people around, so I could totally do that. And then you've got this one here. They're also looking for folks with general skills and even non-skills. So this is a point that I want to make. If you've got a son or daughter, and you're tired of looking at them in the house, and you're constantly telling them, go and get a job. These might be some of the jobs that they're looking for. And this is the point, huh? They're asking for people that don't have a whole bunch of the high-end skills. And they're looking for people with no skills, in fact, in the construction industry. So this is what I want you to do, is you get the kid, like I said, off the couch and have them apply for these jobs. And they're going to go up there and they're going to do the grunt stuff, right? They're going to do painting. God, I hate painting. The general laborer category. But they will get to work around and with tile and marble setters, electricians, drywall, metal stud installers, carpenters, cement guys, sheet metal guys, welders. And they might pick up some of those skills. And then when it gets to be, oh, my God, the military buildup is everywhere, they get to come back to Guam and get Guam rates. Because then they'll be able to say, yeah, I've got some skills. Bring me in here. You might have to not put up with them in the house for a couple of months, but still, they'll go, they'll earn some decent dollars, they'll learn about working on a job site, they'll learn some valuable show up to work every day, no matter whose birthday or wedding or anniversary or funeral it is, and be able to become real leaders in the community out here. So 11 o'clock today at the Hilton Pacific Rim. 20 away from the top of the hour. I'm all about people getting learning and education. Sometimes you get them in the classroom, and sometimes you get them on a job. John Fernandez knows all about that. Good morning, Superintendent.
Hi, good morning, Ray. I was glad to listen in a little bit. I just tuned in on this whole notion of getting our students ready for the workforce, and especially Guam. Filling Guam's needs, not just today but in the future. So very glad to, we're all working in that direction and trying to figure out ways to give these kids not just the academic skills, which is important, but just the practical skills of learning and being prepared to apply for jobs and having the skills needed to succeed. So we have a lot of things going on to try to make that happen.
Well, you and I are from a time where on-the-job training meant something and could actually turn people on to some serious career opportunities. And like I said, it's not every day that you got somebody that comes out and says, we're looking for workers, skilled or unskilled. We'll take all comers and put you to work. And in my mind, that means that you're basically going to get a near-free education in being able to do jobs that we know for a fact are going to be here on Guam in just a couple of years, if not now. So, Tad Dick, boy, go and sign up.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And so we've got a lot of conversation going on, a lot of things that are already, either have been in place and things that we want to strengthen and tighten up on. But you're absolutely right. I had a recent conversation with the folks over at GPA, GWA, and we were talking about. I asked them, what types of jobs are there for these kids, and what kind of turnover do you have, and what kind of training opportunities, and how do we link them up to our high school students? Because you're always going to need linemen, you're always going to need people to work over at the Water Authority doing some of those skilled and high-paying jobs. So things like that, whether it's a build-up, whether it's our own utility, whether it's, just any of those industries on Guam, the construction industry, how do we, make sure that we're getting kids on track? Those kids who might want to take advantage of that opportunity, when they graduate.
There used to be, John, when I was, 17, 18 years old, and I wanted to learn about electronics, that one of the opportunities was to take a course. It was done by GCC, but it took place at the John F. Kennedy campus. So there's still those kinds of programs out there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have ongoing and strong partnership with GCC on several industry areas, ranging from automotive to visual communications and culinary and so forth. And so those are things we want to build on. I mean, the good thing about it is that it teaches them skills, it gets them focused on a career, and they get work-based experience as part of that. And if they complete, they also get a step up into, accelerated step into getting their college degree. So there's that process. But on the downside, not every student currently has access to the program because of our resources. So we're looking to figure out ways where we can expand and build on that model and give as many students as possible, those opportunities where, in addition to still fulfilling their high school requirements, can think through the career and college opportunities and get on a pathway to put themselves in a position to take advantage of those.
Yeah, it's a great conversation to have, and I think what you've managed to do there in the last 45 seconds or so is kind of distill the process down for students and their parents. The reason why I'm with you on the phone now is I know that you guys have been talking a lot about the steps that you need to take to achieve your $19 million worth of savings, and I wanted to clarify. I got a note from a buddy of mine, Frank. He says GDOE needs to clarify the issue on the subs. In print, it says limited use of subs, but in the schools, it is being taken to mean no subs effective the 19th of March. Have you put a date on when that particular policy is going to take place?
So, when we first talked to administrators, the intended implementation date was March 19th. And so, of course, I was letting our folks know that in the event that the situation changes and we have reason to believe that there's not that we can relieve the department of some of these reductions, then we would change. So, the intention was to put out a clearer directive today regarding implementation. I was hoping that there would be some, either clarity from the legislature one way or the other by now, so that I could make a determination and not have to reverse it, in the near future, which I think is, really unfortunate that, I know many of our substitutes are going to be worried about, what this means for their livelihood. So, again, we've been trying to delay and, not have to go down this route where personnel are going to be more focused on their livelihood than they are in the classroom. But we're at this stage that we don't have a clear solution at this point. So later today, we'll put out a very clear, more formal documentation that can be shared with substitutes regarding our implementation.
Will that?
If not, what I'm gonna do is I'm probably gonna delay this. It was intended for March 19th. Probably delay it a week, give everyone enough notice, and then if there is any change in circumstances during that time, we'll let people know if there's a change in direction.
Will your decision be based on the actions that the legislature takes tomorrow?
The issue right now is we have a cash shortage. We have a target for budget savings and reductions. Despite everyone saying they want to protect education, whether it's through shifting how the cuts are being allocated or providing revenues, despite all of that discussion, nobody's given us the actual solution. No one's told us that this is the path we're going down.
Yeah.
So, to be responsible, we've been looking at making sure we try to address the cost reductions that we need to ensure a cash flow that will enable us to maintain core operations.
Yeah, my understanding is.
Essentially, there is a bill on the table. If it passes, we'll consult right away with DOA to determine whether that means that we'll be able to sustain revenue to the department. If it doesn't pass, we'll do the same thing, and then from there we'll proceed with our plans going forward.
Yeah, my understanding is there is a measure over at the legislature, and if it was the same as it was the last time we talked, I would say that there is not a whole lot of opportunities for clarity because it required the governor to come forth with a fiscal realignment plan that would then be accepted by the body. That has morphed into the governor has to come out with a fiscal realignment plan and only submit it to the body, at which point that means that the bill that would increase the BPT by 25% would be enacted immediately. So there will be an infusion of cash, but I think the thinking in either case was that the governor is already coming forward with his cost containment plans, which include the $19 million that you guys are already working to set aside.
Yeah, well, again, I think right now the status quo means that we have to cut. If the bill, I'm not familiar with all the intricacies of the legislation that we voted on. We're hoping to get more clarity on what that requires. Once the legislature votes on it, obviously if it passes, we'll need to sit down with the governor and his team to figure out how that will impact the department. If it doesn't pass, that means we're in status quo and we'll just proceed forward with the plans that we've shared with the community.
Yeah. In any event, there's going to be pressure on the employees and pressure on the students.
Oh, absolutely. We're gonna we put this out there just because we want to be transparent. And I've said, if you have a better idea, let me know. Bob Klitsky came out there and said, well, why don't you enforce the Adequate Education Act? So I sent a letter of notice to the legislature and governor yesterday saying this is an obligation that the government sign. That is in law that the governor, Governor Calvo, Lieutenant Governor Tenorio, Speaker Cruz, Senator Uggan, even candidates like former Senator Lou Leon Guerrero. A lot of folks running for office have supported almost very broadly. And what that law does is not only establishes a right to certain minimum requirements in the educational system, it describes the responsibilities of BBMR, DOA, the legislature, and myself to come into compliance with that act, and it creates a basis for legal action against the government. And so in light of that, I informed and just reminded the senators and the governor's office that this is the law, and it's an option on the table if we can't come to a resolution. But before we start cutting into the core operations and employees and services to students, I think we have to ensure that we're taking advantage of all the full opportunities there are, especially those that are in law, to protect the educational system.
I can't disagree with that because I was a big supporter of the Every Child is Entitled to an Adequate Education Act. We summarize that to just the Adequate Education Act, but I was a big supporter of it as well. I think there was always a place for it, and certainly to give the students and the parents the options of being able to force action where they feel that action needs to be taken. And one last thing before I let you run. Who over at Weddingale is watching too much Bridge on the River Kwai? Just stand outside in the sun. We're looking for a guy that looks like Toshiro Mifune out there.
Right. I saw the social media back and forth on that, and I'm glad that when people heard about that, they tagged me in it so I could be aware of that conversation. And so, immediately after I found out, which is after the school day had already been dismissed, contacted the principal to make sure there was an investigation already ongoing. Made sure that she was not only gathering witness statements but contacting the parents. So I believe the principal has done that. The school-based discussion. She's reached out and talked to two parents. I believe there's a third parent that she's going to be talking to this morning. And once we gather the information, we'll consult it to determine whether there are areas that need to be corrected or addressed. But I don't have the facts at my immediate disposal. I just know what was alleged, and I'm trying to get a handle on whether that was in fact the case, so that we can address anything that, especially if things were improperly handled.
Yeah. I mean, there's right and wrong ways to do it, and clearly that's the wrong way to do it. And I've got a teacher in the family, so I can understand sometimes the frustrations of dealing with kids. But forcing them to stand outside in the hot Guam sun for an hour with no bathroom breaks and no hydration is, as I said, I mean that just reeks of corporal punishment in the old Japanese days. All right, well, let me know what the investigation finds out. I got to run. I'll talk to you pretty soon.
All right. Well, Thank you, Ray. I'll talk to you soon.
No, pleasure's mine. Superintendent John Fernandez with us on the point and trying to make a couple of points about reminding the people over in the government of Guam, at the legislature, and over at the governor's office that hey, there is the Adequate Education Act that I am by law required to fulfill all of the policies therein. So we start talking about cutting into the core responsibilities. It all begins with maintaining at least the paperwork that is in there, at least what is provided for in the statute. With me on this line, J.I. Cruz, the chief of the Guam Police Department. Buenos Zen Hafaday.
Good morning, Buenos. Hafaday. How are you, Ray?
You know what? I'm doing all right. Just kind of curious about some of the things that have been floating around. I got my hands on some documentation yesterday that turned into the front page story on the Guam Daily Post about the possibility that there are going to be layoffs, furloughs in the Guam Police Department. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? How it is possible that something along the lines of public safety would be earmarked for cuts?
Well, Ray, if you take a look at Governor Calvo's executive order 2018-04, is very clear. It specifically talks about all government agencies, all departments, all bureaus. So it's across the board, and it's in black and white. And as we in the Guam Police Department take a look at that, and I always confer with my assigned attorney from the attorney of the Office of the Attorney General. We look at that as the Guam Police Department is not exempt. You know, when you read the letter of the letter of the law, what's specifically written in that executive order, you know, I don't see any provisions there that precludes the Guam Police Department from a furlough. So I want to talk about the furloughs first.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's very specific. It says all departments in the government of Guam. So we're preparing for that. That's what we're preparing for. You know, we're looking a mile down the road saying if this is what's coming, and in black and white it says all departments, all agencies, all bureaus, then that's what we're going to prepare for. So as a leader, as the chief of police, my bureau chiefs and I, we went out and we're talking to the different officers all the way down to the line. The officers assigned to patrol. This morning, I'm meeting with more of my officers assigned up to the headquarters, and we're letting them know that we have this executive order, and should it come to fruition that this is exactly what we're going to do, because there's a notification process. There's specific language in that executive order that references Appendix H of the Department of Administration's rules and regulations. We reference that, and there is a notification period, and you know we're preparing for that. So, you know, rather than waiting to deal with this, you know, right when it's time to, execute the furlough, you know, we want to get in front of that. I want to notify my officers, my employees, that this is a potential based on what I've got in black and white. And that's what this is about. Now, again, it's just preparing ourselves, posturing ourselves, figuring out how we're going to make, 24/7 operations of public safety happen should we have to get to that point of executing a furlough in the government of Guam.
I think it's bad fiscal policy and bad public safety policy to say that we have to be painted with the same brush as everybody else. There's only a few things that we taxpayers really demand of the government, and among them education and public health and, of course, public safety. So, as I say, I sure do wish that somebody would take a look at whatever the statutes have to say and see if there's a way that you could fight up against this idea. That we've got to take a Department of Public Safety. We got to take a police department that I feel has already been short the number of guys in uniforms and the number of squad cars that we got out there, and release even more officers. It just doesn't ring correct to me.
You know, Ray, I understand your perspective, and a lot of people have that perspective as well. And I will tell you, you know, I was just listening to the superintendent and the conversation that you had with him and his requirements to provide adequate public education to the students here on our island.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know, I totally understand that, and I hear what people are saying, and like Superintendent Fernandez's comments, you know, I echo those same kind of comments with my officers and my civilian employees. what I'm asking them to do is to talk to their elected leaders and let them know that a solution needs to be met. We need to figure out one way or another. Last week Governor Calvo had a meeting with some of the mid-level managers in government, and the governor is willing to come to the table, have the discussions, and meet with the 34th Guam legislature. But really, this is about the legislature introducing a bill that's going to pass on session floor that's going to address this matter, this crisis that we're dealing with.
With all due respect, and I've read all the press releases as well. I've seen and reported on the back and forth. I just Chief, I really would prefer that you would have, as the guy in charge of public safety, gone back and said, I can't do this. We need to maintain a strong police presence, and we can't do it if I've got to worry about 32 hours.
Absolutely. And again, I've had many of those conversations with several of our elected leaders. I continue to go back to them to talk to them about this. I think it was 2 Saturdays ago. I got myself and the fire chief got called in to justify why we're doing what we're doing. But again, I will continue to have those conversations with our senators.
If you don't mind, Jay, I'm sorry, there's music playing in the background. That means I've got the news coming up in a second. I've got a couple other questions. Understanding that you're probably going to have to do this very undesirable activity, I want to see what some of the plans are with regard to maybe some new guys in a new cycle and maybe better use of reserve officers. But the news is coming up in seconds, so can I call you back later?
Absolutely.
All right, appreciate it. J.I. Cruz from the Guam Police Department. It's 8 o'clock. Here's Fox News.
Day of action. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Across the country, high school students walked out of class, sending a message to lawmakers 1 month after the massacre at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School. Annabelle is a student in New York City.
I think guns are the problem, but people are so adamant about having that right and having their guns that, but the same people who are adamant about that are against Obamacare, which is the ๕mental health service provider in the country.
Message received on Capitol Hill as the House passed the Stop School Violence Act, which sets aside $500 million over 10 years to improve school security and improve coordination between schools and law enforcement.
1 month ago, we were all in shock. We're also upset. And what even made it worse was when we found that the FBI had been warned twice, 5 months prior, that this could have been prevented.
House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy, the bill next heads to the Senate. Accused Marjory Stoneman Douglas shooter Nicholas Cruz pled not guilty this afternoon. President Trump makes his choice for a new economic advisor after last week's resignation of Gary Cohn. Fox's John Decker live at the White House.
Conservative economic commentator Larry Kudlow will become one of the president's top economic advisors as director of the National Economic Council. He'll replace Gary Cohn, who resigned from the post last week. Kudlow has spoken out against tariffs on steel and aluminum, and on CNBC's Closing Bell urged the president to get tougher on China.
China has not played by the rules for a long time. I've talked about that, intellectual property rights, corporate technologies, other barriers.
Kudlow said the dollar has lost ground over the past year, adding that he does not want to see it fall another 10%. Lisa?
John, Navy officials say a fighter jet has crashed off Key West, Florida. Rescue operations underway. Fox News, fair and balanced.
Can you tell if this burger contains bacteria that could cause kidney failure? Listen. Can't, can you? You can't see it either. There's only one way to tell if you've cooked meat and poultry to a bacteria-killing temperature. Use a food thermometer. It's not an extra step or a nice to have. Raw or undercooked meat may contain bacteria that can make you very sick or worse. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year, and roughly 3,000 will die. But you can keep your family safer by using a food thermometer every time. Learn more about this and other important information. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov. That's foodsafety.gov. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
The U.S. ambassador to the UN calling on the Security Council to take action after Great Britain blames Russia for an attack on a former Russian spy and his daughter on British soil. Fox's Steve Rappaport has this live.
Lisa, Ambassador Nikki Haley says the March 4th attack has Moscow's fingerprints all over it.
Alone, Russia's crime is worthy of this council's action. But this is not an isolated incident. The assassination attempt in Salisbury is part of an alarming increase in the use of chemical weapons.
The former spy and his daughter were found unconscious on a park bench and remain in critical condition. British authorities concluding Russia either deployed or lost control of the nerve agent. Prime Minister Theresa May retaliating today, ordering the expulsion of 23 Russian diplomats. The Kremlin denies any involvement in the attack. Lisa?
Steve, 6 Army soldiers hurt after an avalanche at Vermont's tallest peak. The soldiers were training for mountain warfare when the avalanche happened. Their condition not yet known. 3 class action lawsuits filed alleging 4 automakers knew of problems with exploding Takata airbag inflators but waited years to issue recalls.
The lawsuits cite company documents obtained through previous lawsuits where plaintiffs allege that GM, Fiat Chrysler, Volkswagen, and Mercedes knew of Takata inflator defects during tests but delayed taking action. 22 people have died worldwide, over 180 injured by exploding airbag inflators. No comment from the automakers. The lawsuits also allege that owners paid a higher price for vehicles than they would have had the defect been disclosed. In the Midwest Bureau, Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
The daughter of the late Steve Jobs, Lisa Brennan Jobs, has a book deal. Grove Press announcing Brennan Jobs is working on a coming-of-age memoir titled Small Fry. Steve Jobs was estranged from her mother and for years denied that Lisa was his daughter. Lisa Lacera, Fox News Radio.
Our island is at a crossroads. We need leaders willing to make the tough decisions to guide us through the roughest waters. Gutierrez Bordalio understands that you cannot cut primary government services like public safety. This is bad for our people, as well as our tourists, and it's bad for business. Cutting 1/3 of the unclassified political hires would keep police and emergency services in full operation. Gutierrez Bordalio will lead by example and do what is right for Guam. Please vote August 25th, Gutierrez Bordalio.
I'm Carl Gutierrez, and I approve this message.
Chili's has the seafood you crave, the flavors you love, at a great price with our 3 for Me Lent menu. For just $15, you can get a beverage, fresh salad, and a Lent-friendly entree. First, choose from a refreshing Coca-Cola, iced tea, or Heineken on draft. Then enjoy a fresh house salad right before you indulge in your choice of a mouth-watering entree, like our spicy shrimp tacos, savory Cajun pasta with shrimp, or our flavorful grilled ancho salmon. Chili's 3 for Me Lent menu for just $15. Available for a limited time. Chili's, more life happens here.
In illness and in wellness, Calvo's Select Care is health care that is there for you. That's why over 80% of the Guam medical community places their trust and insures with us. We offer our members wellness and fitness programs for a healthier lifestyle and provide a comprehensive medical network on and off island to help members from unexpected illnesses. Contact Calvo's Select Care today for more information.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,500 by calling Family Finance in Hagåtña at 475-4545, Upper Tuon 647-5626, or in Dededo 633-4473. Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959.
It's super, stupendous, it's sensational. It's a sensational seafood menu at Ruby Tuesday with satisfying selections of classic entrees like the fish trio and new favorites like lobster carbonara or seafood pan roast. Try them all and enjoy sensational seafood for a limited time at Ruby Tuesday, Guam.
Just after 8 o'clock in the morning, we are getting reports here at The Point about power being off in various parts of Tamuning. And right now in communications with Patty Longdiego of the Guam Power Authority. She is gathering information and should be able to give us some of that information in just a few minutes. Right now, Kevin Kerrigan and this morning's news from the Guam Daily Post.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 8 a.m. this Thursday morning. Here's a look at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Lawmakers yesterday recessing their 8th special session without taking action on the sales tax bill that's before them. Speaker Benjamin Cruz advising the body that It'll take a couple of days for the tax bill to be engrossed because of all the amendments that have been added to it. He scheduled a resumption of the session for 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon when they're expected to finally vote on the proposed tax increase. In reaction, Governor Calvo issuing a statement expressing some modest concern about the additional delay. But on a positive note, the governor said, now there's movement, and we appreciate that because now we're on our way to getting a roadmap to relieve the fiscal crisis. We are hopeful, said the governor, that it passes. We need the stability. Meanwhile, more than a dozen public school students went down to the legislature yesterday afternoon to urge action on the tax bill to help DOE avoid the looming austerity measures threatening the island's public schools. In the face of the current fiscal crisis, Guam DOE has to cut its budget by $19 million in the remaining months of this fiscal year alone. To meet that goal, the Education Board Tuesday night authorized the initiation of a 32-hour work week and to begin planning to delay the opening of the school year until October 1st. Hannah Duenas, a student at Southern High, said she wanted to remind the lawmakers that 2,000 DOE students are already eligible to vote and thousands more will reach voting age soon. Guam Police Chief Joseph Cruz informing his officers that there's a strong possibility of layoffs in the next fiscal year. The department is already bracing for a reduced 32-hour work week as a result of the governor's executive order. The chief met with some of his officers at the Dededo precinct yesterday, telling them no one is exempt from the executive order. If we have to cut to 32-hour work week, said the chief, it's going to get dicey. More news after this.
We have those moments in our lives that happen unpredictably. The unexpected instances that we did not really need. Yeah, you can count on us to stay well, Papa, to live well, Papa, to stay well, making sure you stay well. Oh, we'll lift you up when times are low. I'll see how far we'll go, and stay well.
Stay Well Insurance. See how far we'll go.
Special things only come around once a year, and it's time for fish fans to celebrate the return of Wendy's Cod Filet Sandwich. Wendy's uses the gold standard for fried fish, wild-caught Northern Pacific cod, breaded with panko crumbs to a light crisp. Add a new creamy dill tartar sauce and crisp pickles, and you've got the fish sandwich many say is the best of the bunch. Get yours today at Wendy's, located in Tamuning, Veragata, Agana, Dededo, and Naval Base. Wendy's Cod Filet. Now that's better.
11 minutes past 8 a.m. here at The Point. 2 men are under arrest in connection with the assault of a man who was found beaten and tied up in a vacant lot next to the Upper Tumon Shell Station back on January 28th. An investigation by Guam police detectives led to the arrest of 23-year-old A.J. Jr. John and 27-year-old Sahan Looney Johnny. Police say the victim was drinking beer with John and Johnny when John allegedly assaulted the victim, tied him up, and took his bicycle. John was arrested on suspicion of aggravated assault, robbery, and felonious restraint. He was booked and confined. Johnny, meanwhile, was arrested on suspicion of assault only. He was booked and released. A 24-year-old man is behind bars for allegedly assaulting a woman known to him, strangling her, and then threatening to kill her. David Anthony Juanico has denied the accusations. He told police the bruises on the woman came from a tautamona. According to court documents, the woman told police that Juanico accused her of cheating and assaulting her. He allegedly threatened to kill her when she refused to look for his ice pipe. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Here's Ray with the weather.
Well, I'll get to the weather here in just a second, but as I said, we're getting reports here and that there are power issues in Tamuning, so I figured we'd add to the newscast with a word or two from Patty Diego at the Guam Power Authority. Good morning, Patty.
Good morning, Ray. Good morning, Guam.
I didn't touch anything. It's not me. I was nowhere near the switch when it happened.
Aha.
Mm-hmm.
You're not the culprit.
I am not the culprit. What's going on out there?
Okay. Well, as of right now, the areas without power are from Santa Ana in Agate down through Umatic to Maritzo. What happened at 7:45 a.m. this morning. We lost the Cabras 1 generator.
Catlu.
And Catlu. So what we're doing is it's what I explained before, and I'll continue to help for everyone to understand, is that when we lose a generating unit that large, we have to balance the system so that the system doesn't deteriorate further. And so we have this scheme of certain areas that we take the load off so that we can balance everything, bring on the standby generators and get the load set, and then we restore. So as I was saying, is energy is dynamic and it flows, so it has to go somewhere, and we do try to restore. The dispatchers are there watching everything in real time, and they do try to restore the power as quickly as possible according to what load we can carry.
Understood. So right now the outage is isolated to the southern villages down to between Agate and Moleso. Are we expecting restoration there anytime soon? Is that a function of the shedding and then restoring?
Exactly.
Okay.
So those folks are out, and then as soon as the load can bear it, then we put them back on, and then we have the standby generators running. We'll investigate what's happening with Cabras, and then I can give you an update on that later on. When the unit that big drops like that, they do have to follow the protocols so that they check everything that they need to check.
Yeah.
And I would be probably a lower priority of them telling me that right away. So.
I recognize that. Let the guys do the work that they got to do without having the public information officer standing over their shoulder saying, "Come on, Gibson's going to call." So suffice to say, what happened last week happened again this morning. It's tripped off, and we've shed the load. And as the system gets balanced, we will begin to restore the load. Now that we've got the fast tracks they're supposed to be up and churning. And so maybe call the guys at maintenance and find out what the problem is over at Cabras and why it's dumped now twice in a couple of weeks.
Right. I have already. We are thinking about that, and I have already asked them for the explanation, but I have to give it some time.
Yeah, and then translate the information so that I can understand it. I see.
Correct.
I got you. All right, thanks, Patty. I appreciate it. So, folks down south, this is temporary. It's not a question of bringing up Cabras before you get your power restored. We're just going to throw up a couple of fast-track deals and throw that into the system once everything is stabilized, and we'll find out what the deal is with Cabras. Is there weather today? Yeah, it's not a bad morning. If you got to get stuck with no air conditioning, it ain't going to be so bad. Still fairly cool outside, coming in from overnight lows of about 76 degrees. It'll heat up later to 88. Today, partly cloudy skies and isolated showers, those east winds, to about 20 miles an hour. Same thing tonight, overnight lows 76, 77. Sunset will be at 6:31. That's news and weather and power together here on The Point.
How do you turn every day into cash back? With the Bank of Guam Visa credit card, cash back just got better. Get 1.5% cash back every month with every purchase, every pick-me-up, every filler-up, every Sunday dinner, every four-wheel spinner. Whatever comes to mind, even every stroll in the sweet sunshine. Everything your heart desires turns into 1.5% cash back every month. The Bank of Guam Visa credit card, the everyday card. Apply today. Call, click, or visit. Terms and conditions apply. Bank of Guam, member FDIC.
This program brought to you by King's Restaurant, serving Guam favorites to families for over 40 years. Wow. King's Restaurant's always open and always local.
At GTA, we believe you deserve better than home internet with hidden data fees. That's why all our internet plans are unlimited, because binging movies in bed shouldn't make you want to hide under the covers when the bill arrives. So the choice is yours. Bill shock with the other guys, or a life unlimited with GTA? Say goodbye to hidden data fees and make the switch today. GTA, your island, your network.
It all starts with yes. I'm talking about First Hawaiian Bank. They bring you the Ray Gibson Show here on The Point.
Join the most excellent of egg hunts. Chuck E. Cheese's Guam is holding their annual indoor egg hunts on Tuesday, March 27th from 3 to 7 p.m. Pre-register for the right age group in one of the 4 egg hunts per hour. Bring your baskets to hunt those eggs. Stay and play for the best experience. Call 647-4544 to register or stop in the restaurant. And sign up. Excellent egg hunts at Chuck E. Cheese's Guam.
Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. Hafaday, my name is Jesse Cruz from the village of Maina, and this is where I start my day, listening to the voices of our community and sharing thoughts about issues that affect all of us. It all boils down to our people and our land. Protehi Itanomo, protect your land. When it comes to your family land, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
The Ray Gibson Show. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Hey, if you want, especially if you want to talk sports, right? Because it's time now at 8:17 and change for Sports on the Point. And there he is, Blake Watson.
Hey.
Hi.
I just thought I would splash on the scene today.
Okay, so March 25th is when they got that big paddling thing. I went out and watched the team from Choice Phone next door over at iConnect go out there and do that paddling
How was
thing.
our team looking?
They, you know what?
They look good?
Yes, yeah. A little, I don't want to say
sweaty.
It was nighttime, so and they were on the water things. You're trying to get me in trouble with the people that I work with next door, so I'm not taking any of that bait. But no, they absolutely looked terrific. They went out there and they did a couple of circuits around Tumon, which I thought was certainly more grueling than the event that they need to be in. The event that they need to be in doesn't. I mean, it's what is it? It's 1,000 kilometers, right?
Just one down and one back, right?
500 out, 500 back, and so I was talking a little bit with the guy that was coaching them and said, your team is going to do fantastic. They'll do just fine because they've got the upper body and they've got the power. So I'm looking for good things from our team. It's all put together by the guys over at 76 Circle K.
And they've done. They've done it as long as I've known, as long as I can remember.
In addition to being out there, great morale building opportunity with folks in our associated company. One of the other things that stood out in my head was, my God, there's a lot of real young people there, high school kids, college-age kids that are deeply involved in the paddling community.
The mayor of Dedido, I interviewed her son a couple years ago for a sports interview that I was doing at the time, and he was on the paddling team at JFK there, and he was also on, I forget the name, Guadentasi is what their name was.
Okay.
I'm sure they're still around, probably still their name, but Guadentasi is kind of a extracurricular outside paddling crew, and I think that they were they were trying to send some people off for some races in Fiji, and but I said all that to say that the mayor's son, Matthew is his name, I believe. If I got that wrong, I'm sorry, but Matthew Savars, he was actually saving up, and he had bought his own boat. He bought his own pad, bought his own his boat, and he had it made in Fiji. I think his mom was telling me he had it made in Fiji. Then they shipped it over here for him. So some of the, and I want to say he just graduated high school maybe within the last 2-3 years.
Yeah.
So some of these paddlers here that we have, especially the younger ones that have been doing it, like we talked about rugby. It kind of came into to conscience of these kids at a young age. Now we're seeing the 20-year-olds who started with it 10 years ago.
Right.
And like you talk about with tennis,
hanging out with mom and dad at the at the thing, and just all of a sudden by osmosis they begin to pick it up. And I mean they knew what they were doing out there. It was a pleasure to watch. These young people having such a good time with it. And another note before I get to some of the things that you've got is a reminder that this weekend, Sunday at Willie Chili Man Brennan's house in My, there is going to be the Tritons football reunion. Coaches, players, cheerleaders, and fans from the 70s and 80s are going to be getting together. Food's going to be provided. Bring your photos, uniforms, memories, thumb drives with all of that stuff, and get ready to have a good time. I've got Brian Leon Guerrero's phone number, so if you want more information or want to know if you need to bring anything, then give me a ring at the radio station, RayGibsonShow@gmail.com. And I'll be happy to give you Brian's contact information so you know what else is going to be going on over at Willie's place.
Right down the road from my house, too. That should be fun. So if I see see the line of cars, I know what's going on over there.
I've been to a couple of get-togethers in that place, and the hospitality and the fellowship has always been outstanding.
They make the good smoked meat.
Yes, there is that too. There's that too. But
is there any bad smoked meat?
I don't
really?
think so.
I mean, come on.
Nah.
Happy Mart has this. I got to say it. Happy Mart has this container, this one tiny section of the chiller closest to the cashiers, the cash registers, and there are two kinds of smoked meat in there. There's smoked beef meat and smoked, and I think it's done by a family up in Jigo, and smoked pork. And so I would turn up my nose every once in a while at the smoked pork until one time they ran out of the beef, and that was all I could buy.
Was just the pork?
And now that's all I bought.
Now that's all you want. That's all you want.
So yeah, I'm familiar. All right, so what do you got in the sports world?
Just yesterday, I just wanted to touch on this and give everybody their due because a lot of work went into it, as it does every year. But I had a good time yesterday. I don't know about you, down at the press conference for the UGM.
Oh yeah, that's in my notes.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've talked about it prior to this or if you're waiting for this, but they're rolling out the same distances: 5K, 10K, half marathon, and the marathon. And it just expect more of the same and even much more than that. And just to kind of encapsulate what it's going to be this year: more off-island, more off-island participation, and just seems like all the festivities that surround it, both at the expo and post-race, are have just been beefed up even more. Should be a good time.
I'm trying to remember the name of the lady that they bring out for it, and I'm sure it's on the app. Download the app, which is another big thing that we're talking about if you want to get caught up on everything that has anything to do with the United Guam International Marathon. But there's a lady that they bring out, and I run the marathon. I'm not running the marathon this year. I'm only running the half. But there's a lady that will run the marathon course and encourage you as you're out there running.
She's kind of like a coach running with you.
Yeah, she's out there. So she'll pass by you, and it'll make you crazy because you're huffing and puffing, and you've got another 20 miles to go, and she's up there, and let's enjoy running, and this is great, and she passes you like you're going backwards. She's just just floating along the course, and you're struggling for every breath.
Every breath. Yeah. So 4,335 runners last year, and they expect to add about 1,000 more, within 1,000 more this year. So it should be a lot of fun. And you know what? I had something, but I forgot it.
I hate when
if the Guam International Marathon isn't your thing, Kick the Fat. Today is the last day to register if you want to get a chip timer on that. And for those that are not runners and don't understand why you want a chip timer, is because normally you use gun time, right? So they fire the gun, they say start running, and that's when the clock starts, right? But if you use a chip timer, especially if you're way in the back of what it's going to be, 3,000-4,000 people running in this in the Kick the Fat race, it'll take you a while to get to the starting line. You don't want that to count against you. So if you go chip time, your time doesn't start until you've crossed the start line.
Until you've started.
Yeah, until you've passed the sensor. So you want to do that. Otherwise, if you're just running for good times and giggles, then go ahead and use whatever is on your watch. And Bank of Guam has got a nighttime race coming up.
I was going to say, I know this is about their time of the year for their race. I guess you're going to do it a nighttime one. And the real reason I know that, because, when I come into work, I drive past the Bank of Guam building in Agana, around 5:30, 5:35 in the morning, which means it's dark. And the last week, I guess, it's been lit up green.
Oh,
so so I guess they're because I know they like to light it up for Christmas and different things, but the building is lit up green, so I assumed it was because they're 5K. They're the EFIT run.
They're rebranding it apparently. The Hagåtña City EFIT Run and Block Party. So
Block Party.
Party, right. So I'm looking here for the pertinent
Does that mean beer at
information.
6 a.m.?
Showtime.
They moved it tonight, I think.
It's nighttime. Showtime is at 4. Go time is at 5 p.m. Course begins and ends in Chamorro Village. And so you go and take you a half hour to finish the course, depending on just how hot it's going to be that day. But when you come back, there will be food trucks and beer garden.
Oh, there you go.
It says a kids zone. There's raffle tickets for stuff that they're going to be. Yay for the beer zone. Yay. Daddy said he needs another one. We've got the live performances, A Long Drive Home, and Big Ben. Bank of Guam's Greatest Beats band competition is going to be taking place. So this is going to be April the 14th from 4 p.m. until midnight. The Hagåtña City EFIT Run and Block Party. And for those of you that have been saying for years and years that we need more nighttime running events in the capital city, ding, 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 there you go.
And this is a big one too, because Bank of Guam always pulls. They pull out all the stops for their events.
Okay, so
Lulian
Guerrero is running for governor. So imagine that this is going to be a big party. I imagine that her and Josh are probably going to be right there with the maybe not running, but maybe with the gun at the front.
Masters of ceremony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last run I went to for Bank of Guam, they lit a sign on fire as the ceremonial opening of the stretching and like the warm up. So And they had a bunch of cultural dancers out in the street right there in front of the Bank of Guam. It was a really cool. It was there a couple years ago when they did the cultural theme.
And just one last note on that. The course is okay, Chamorro Village out somewhere and then back, but I'm wondering why they're not using the other course, the one that actually starts at the Bank of Guam's main branch, right on Route 4, and then it goes through the village a little bit and then finds its way to Marine Corps Drive and then back along O'Brien Drive. And the reason why I like that course, in fact, a lot of the elites like that course because it's literally one of the fastest, flattest courses on Guam, and it's made even faster because you're not running against the wind.
Right.
On the way back, you're running on the cliffside, so there's not a lot of wind to slow you down through that. So you got guys that are shaving their times off, sometimes as much as a minute.
I feel I'm having deja vu. I feel like we've said this exact same words in the exact same order, but I remember you saying that because the course
we
you're
used to
talking
do
about.
sports at K57, so yeah, and so I've mentioned this more than once.
Okay, yeah. So, but the course you're talking about, I think the reason I'm saying that is because that's the one through the traditional Agana streets, right? Yeah, like around the barrio, like the barrio area or whatever. And and it pulls it back up Marine Corps Drive. So
so you're going south on Marine Corps Drive, so you've got a little bit of wind on your tail, right? And then you go up 9th Street, I think, and then come back up through the cliffside, and where there would normally be, if you were running that on Marine Corps Drive, you'd have the wind in your face. But because you're coming up against the cliff, there's enough trees and buildings in there that will shield you from the wind. So, like I said, it helps you move through that faster. That's not this course this time, guys. So it's just an out and back on Marine Corps Drive. So you will have a little bit of the breeze in your face.
Running season is upon us.
It's here. It's here. You got anything else?
No. I'll save it for tomorrow.
Okay, groovy. All right, that's Blake Watson. He takes care of all of the sports conversation here. And conversation from somebody that called up and said, tell Ramon that when he talks about Brian Leon Guerrero, nobody knows him as Brian Leon Guerrero. He referred to him as Cowboy. Cowboy is waiting for your call. I've got his number if you want information. Call me, and I will give you the Cowboy's telephone. Here it is. Time for a break at 8:29.
GPSI Guam is a professional services company that is a registered contractor for the federal government. They're an SBA, 8A, and Hub Zone certified SDVOSB, providing program/project management, administration, technical support, logistics, and commodities. Find out more about GPSI and how they can help you today. For large prime companies, contact GPSI if you need assistance in meeting your small business subcontracting goals at 477-3058. They'll be happy to assist.
It's time for the 8:30 look at traffic, and is there anything that you need to be worried about right now? Not really. I'm looking over some of the usual spots, 8, 10, and 16. Don't need to tell you the traffic will get bad southbound, even now at 8:30 in second string traffic. Marine Corps Drive still hasn't settled down. We're still seeing some slowing down as you get into the Waisangsong area up in Jigo. You make your way towards Route 3, and that intersection. Calm down a lot, but you might still hit a little bit of traffic through there. At the intersection of 10 Alpha and Army Drive. That's the one that takes you into Machechi over at the 76 Ocean Vista. You might see a little traffic if you're headed up the hill towards that intersection. Otherwise, traffic in both directions through there looks like it's just about right. And then the only other place where it looks like it's getting crazy is at the end of 10A, where that intersection there joins up with the intersection from Tiedzen. And that's going to be a problem until Glenn Leon Guerrero physically removes that road and puts it a little bit further south, closer to Home Depot, which is the actual plan there. 8:31 in the morning. That's traffic. Headlines with Kevin Kerrigan next.
Are you a veteran or on active duty looking for a home loan and VA eligible? Then Bank Pacific stores are open to you, where we are a VA approved preferred lender. That simply means we can give you faster credit approvals and loan closing. And with today's super low rates, you just can't go wrong. Bank Pacific's My VA Loan, where we're open to closing your loan in a hurry.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal housing lender, credit conditions apply. Viva Bank Pacific.
The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts of Guam Training every morning on The Ray Gibson Show.
The topic is praise, and I'm fixing to approach it a little differently than maybe you've heard it before. I'm Jerry Roberts, and at 7:20 a.m. on The Ray Gibson Show, how a guy in a grocery store got me going on this.
You can find daily transcripts of The Extra Point by Jerry Roberts at GuamTraining.com. Tune in every weekday morning at 7:20 for The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts on The Ray Gibson Show on 93.3 The Point.
To This song reminds me of every song in the Beat Street movies back in the 1980s. And that, I think, friends, is the solution to all of our financial problems in the government of Guam. You remember how all of those movies basically had the same theme, right?
Right.
The man from the bank or the tax place in the government was trying to kick out the old lady, or the people at the senior citizen center, or the people at the community center, and that's all those kids have, man. That's all those kids have.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
It's just where we got to go. That's where we dance, people. The man trying to burn us down with his jive talking. So what are we going to do? We're going to have a street festival. That's what we do, guys. We have a street festival. We'll have break dancing. There'll be DJs and music and food and The Last Dragon. And we'll actually play some of those movies, right?
There we go.
And we'll raise enough money to get the government. What do we got to do? $67 million?
That's just a drop in the bucket.
Well, I figure after they're saving, what is it, $15 million and shutting down what is it?
Guam DOE is up to $19 million now.
It'll be $19 million from the Guam DOE, but we've shut down the swimming pool up in Dededo. That saves us $15 million. We're saving $15 million because we're shut down the Paseo. That's $49 million that we've already saved there. So we just got a shorter amount of money that we've got to come up with, and then we're done. We'll be out of this. I don't know why the legislature's got to vote on anything.
Just another 18 mils. So where are we going to? Come on.
Well, like I said, we're closing the or.dump. Shut it down, Brown. Shut it down. That's good. Mark my words that you'll see it down the road. There's going to be a press release. This is how much money we saved by shutting things down that were already shut down. Okay, 8:33, time for our last look at headlines from the Guam Daily Post. That's Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 34 minutes past 8 a.m. In the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning, power outages being reported at various locations in central and southern Guam this morning. GPA spokesperson Patty Long Diego says that the Cabris 1 unit has tripped offline again for the second time in less than a week. Not clear what caused Cabris to go down this morning. Diego says that's being investigated now. Meanwhile, the backup standby generators are up and running. Power in those areas experiencing outages should be restored soon. In other news, more than a dozen public school students went down to the legislature yesterday afternoon to urge action on a tax bill to help DOE avoid the looming austerity measures threatening the island's public schools. In the face of the current fiscal crisis, Guam DOE has to cut its budget by $19 million in the remaining months of this fiscal year alone. To meet that goal, the Education Board Tuesday night authorizing the initiation of a 32-hour work week and to begin planning to delay the opening of the school year until October 1st. Hannah Duenas, a student at Southern High, is saying she wants to remind lawmakers that 2,000 of DOE's students are already able to vote. Thousands more will reach voting age soon. Public Health has shut down another eating establishment after finding numerous sanitary violations. A Mighty Hawaiian Barbecue shut down yesterday. Sanitation permit was revoked. Among the findings, public health inspectors found raw chicken being stored on top of raw beef and fish in a chiller. Dishes were not being washed with any sanitizer, and fresh rodent droppings were found on the kitchen floor and outside the back door. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
Just the extra rodent droppings. We charge extra for that. It's 8:35. That's iConnect time. Connect longer for less with iConnect's push-to-talk mobile and internet plans.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
It's Lent time here, and the guys over at Subway are very, very aware of where we are on the calendar, and they've put together some delightful meals for you. The Veggie Max. Have you tried that yet? It's a delicious vegetarian patty, free of artificial colors, and they put all kinds of great flavors in it. Visit any of the convenient locations at Subway. Try the classic tuna or the mouth-watering greatness of their seafood sensation. Fresh, it's what they do.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,500 by calling Family Finance in Hagåtña at 475-4545, Upper Tuon 647-5626, or in Dededo 633-4473. Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959.
Am I supposed to tell you about Security Title right about now? Yeah, I think so. They're the people that you need to talk to when it comes time to buy a house, because they're the ones that know how to look through all of the paperwork and make sure that the people that you're buying from actually own it. This is vital, and you'd think that you wouldn't need to do something like that, but you do. So you call Security Title.
It's super, stupendous, it's sensational. It's a sensational seafood menu at Ruby Tuesday with satisfying selections of appetizers like lobster mac, crispy flatbreads, Italian cheese dip, and stuffed shrimp. Try them all and enjoy the selection of sensational seafood for a limited time at Ruby Tuesday, Guam.
Sorry, I was looking over there for a gizmo that's actually in front of me over here. Let's see, is there traffic? This probably going to end up being our last look at traffic here, but or maybe not, depending on what it is that I'm looking at. Route 27A, just before you get to the Weddingale Rugby Field, we're watching some traffic building up there. I can't figure out why, because it's almost 9. But still, and that traffic is going to follow all the way to the end of 27 Alpha on Route 16. Anything else there? Tumon, getting out of Tumon, up Santos Hill. That's almost perennial. Still seeing a little bit of a slowdown in front of us here at the Kmart intersection of John F. Kennedy High School. Perimeter Road up on Barragata on Route 16. Sorry, Route 8 along Perimeter Road. Like I said, just before you get into the one good turn into Teads, traffic is still fairly heavy through there. Coming into town, nothing major. You might experience a light or two when you get to the intersection of Route 8 and Marine Corps Drive. Turning southbound from there. 838, that's the traffic on the point.
Hafa my name is James Moylan, and I'm running for a seat as your senator. The people of Guam expect more from their leaders, and I intend on delivering. If given the opportunity, I will bring my experiences in the military, public, and private sectors. I understand that during challenging times, tough decisions and an open mind are needed. Your tax dollars also need to be spent wisely. If you expect more from your elected officials and expect them to think outside of the box, then I humbly ask for your support this November. Thank you.
Paid for by the committee to elect James Camacho Moylan for Senator, Carlos Camacho, Treasurer.
Join the most excellent of egg hunts. Chuck E. Cheese's Guam is holding their annual indoor egg hunts on Tuesday, March 27th from 3 to 7 p.m. Pre-register for the right age group in one of the 4 egg hunts per hour. Bring your baskets to hunt those eggs. Stay and play for the best experience. Call 647-4544 to register or stop in the restaurant and sign up. Excellent egg hunts at Chuck E. Cheese's Guam.
Man, it's a busy couple of days that we've got in front of us as we get out of Lent and into the springtime, ring-a-ding time on Guam. I got a note here about the Down Syndrome Association. They're going to have a get-together on the 21st. The Down Syndrome Association of Guam joins the world in celebrating World Down Syndrome Day, which is a day to raise awareness about Down syndrome and create a single voice for advocating for the rights, inclusion, and well-being of individuals with Down syndrome. Among the events that they're going to be doing on the 21st, the Down Syndrome Association of Guam will celebrate with a special mass at St. Jude's up in Sinanya. At 7 o'clock in the evening, events will continue with the unveiling of the Joy and Inspiration photo exhibit showcasing kids and adults with Down syndrome, taking place Sunday at 6 o'clock at the Guam Premier Outlets. The event will remain open through March 31st and an open invitation to everybody to go by there and see what's going on. If you want information, get a hold of me, RayGibsonShow@gmail.com, and I will bounce what I've gotten from Nikrina over to you and give you her phone number. So maybe you can make sure if you've got folks in your family that are lined up with this, that you can head over and make sure that that you are included in the observation and all of these activities. All right, 8:41 in the morning. My name is Ray. Welcome to the program. This is the Ray Gibson Show on the Point radio station. And where have we been already? Obviously, the continuing discussion of the continuing saga over at the legislature about what we're going to do with the tax increases. I thought I had a pretty good handle on this. When I last looked at it, not that I'm the guy in charge, right? But I'm just saying, when I last looked at it, what we were talking about was 25% increase that goes into effect when the governor sends down to the legislature a fiscal realignment plan that they adopt, that they will then enact. There was an amendment to Michael St. Nicholas's amendment yesterday, which changed the whole meaning. And now it will go into effect when the governor sends down his fiscal realignment plan, period. There's nothing there that says that it has to be adopted by the legislature, that everybody has to love it. And so that's where we are now. So for all intents and purposes, when they vote on it, the way it looks to me, when they vote on it, unless there is something else that happens while they're in discussion, that means there's going to be an increase in your taxes. That's the long and short of it. We will go from a 4% GRT to a 5% GRT until the end of the fiscal year, at which time we will then go from a 4% GRT to 4% GRT and an additional 2% sales tax. By then, the Department of Revenue and Taxation should have the opportunity to provide the rules and regulations that the legislature, I presume at that time, would still have to adopt. But seeing as how there's a bunch of people that feel like it's all right to abdicate the responsibility, I don't know. I don't know. So brace yourselves, because it's going to happen. We are going to see an increase in taxes that we can put together with all of the other increases that we've been playing around with. When the port puts those new tariffs in place, you know who's going to have to pay for that, right? Yeah. Yes. So when it costs more to ship and move goods through the port, then the people that buy those goods that need to get shipped through the port will not pay that themselves. They will pass that along to us. So the oxen palm and the spam and the biscuitsu and all of the things that we import through the port here are going to cost us a little bit more. But, hey, I guess that's all right. That's okay. They passed a LEAC between the GPA, the Consolidated Commission on Utilities, and the Public Utilities Commission. They passed an adjustment. This is not the base rate, huh? This is just what, this is the GPA's way of making sure that they get the money back that they're spending on fuel, and the price of fuel continues to go up. Therefore, the cost to provide the electricity to us is going to go up. Isn't that fun? Isn't that fun? We also increased the taxes, the liquid fuel taxes. You remember? We increased the liquid fuel taxes on a gallon of gasoline. That's why that went up. And then TAPIS went up in value, and that's why the price of gas got to where it is. And it's going to stay there for a while. I don't see anything in the cards that looks like it's going to be pushing the cost of gasoline and that particular flavor of oil down. Glug, glug. Sorry, take a drink. So what do us mere mortals do? My buddy says maybe the thing that we ought to think about doing is just try to be as proactive as possible about what we're doing and do your best to, I don't know, reduce the amount of gasoline that you use. So try not to drive around too much. But, wow, what happens if... kids, parents of kids that go to the private schools, what happens if they follow through with that threat to kick the private school kids off the buses? What happens then? You're going to have to put some extra gasoline in the car, cover the deal, get your kids to school, right? And there's just so much more. Now, all of this time, there are supposed to be some cuts that the government is making, and they are bracing themselves for some of these cuts. There is going to be, I think, a hue and cry to make sure that the government of Guam goes on the same diet as everybody else does. So just be aware that we might see further reductions in the number of police that are out there on the streets. In my last conversation, just in the last hour, with J.I. Cruz, who's the chief of the Guam Police Department, says, hey, listen, the word's gone out. The governor made it clear that all of these cuts, 32-hour work week, furloughs, layoffs, any of that stuff, applies equally to all branches of the government of Guam. Everything in the executive branch, of which the Guam Police Department is an instrumentality. And I hate the idea. And I thought I made it clear. I would have found a way to push back a little bit more and say, yeah, we'll prepare for these cuts, but we don't want to take them first. I don't think that the police department should. I don't think the Department of Education should, outside of the very obvious stuff. I don't think anybody in public health should. It's important. And as I say over and over, these are the things that we want our government to do. All of the rest of the stuff is just nice to have, but do we really need it? And in the face of the kind of fiscal issues that we're punching through right now, I don't think so. I don't think so. And when it comes to public safety, this is where we need to be concerned. Just this morning's newscasts. He says, waving his finger towards the camera. Sorry, I don't mean to wag my finger. But just in this morning's newscast, this is the level of crazy that we have in this town these days. There's a guy got his bike stolen. He was drinking with a couple of, I don't know, people he probably should never, ever have drank with. But they stole his bike, and they beat him up, and they tied him up and abandoned him. There's a level of crazy right there, but that's not the craziest thing that happened. There's another guy got busted. This level of stupid here is crazy. So the guy was busted. They saw him on camera walking out with $160 worth of oxen palm corned beef. And he got away in a car. They have all of this stuff on video. And then the crazy guy comes back. This is the level of nuts that we're living with here these days. How about this one here? Some icehead gets into a row with his girlfriend and claims that the marks and the bruises that are on her, well, I didn't do that. Tautomona did that. And he got in a fight with her because she wouldn't look for his ice pipe. I wonder why. I wonder what could have been going through her head. Just get it for him. No, because he's cranky when he's on ice. Well, he's cranky when he's not on ice. Again, the level of crazy. And we're talking about taking cops off the streets? Really? That's not enough. How about another guy? And this one here is a little scarier because we get this knucklehead who is apparently not satisfied with the quality or quantity of grass that he was already growing in his apartment. So he sent away for some marijuana, completely ignoring the fact that the guys over at the post office are unbelievably good at detecting drugs in the mail. And they found it, and they said they put all of the secret things in there, and he got it, and they busted the guy for doing this mail order thing using the U.S. Post Office for it, and then found that he had all kinds of drug paraphernalia. He was growing his own stuff in the house, had grow lights and ice pipes, and a gun that had apparently been stolen in a break-in at somebody's house a few years back. That's scary. So we got that level of drugs and scary and stupid at the same time. We're talking about taking cops off the streets. And I don't think we ought to be doing that today. Huh. But wait, there's more. So what are we going to do? Are we going to I thought I saw, I wasn't sure. I thought I saw yesterday what looked like a new, what do you call it? Cycle, police cycle at the that was at work. And I'm not sure. That was one of the questions I wanted to ask J.I. If we're able to get more time with him today, is to find out, do we have another cop cycle that's working through? Like I said, I'm not sure. It could have been somebody's softball team, but it had that look like a bunch of young people in the same outfit running in Agana. Wow. And that back in the old days, that always meant that we had some guys in starting up a new training cycle in the police department. So I'm not sure. Maybe that's what I was talking about. Then there's the other deal about reserve officers. I know a few guys that spend some time, and they're off time. They're not at work. work. They're not hanging out with the families in the middle of the night. My dad used to do it, and he would strap on a gun and a badge and be a volunteer policeman out there. And if we're going to be doing all of that, then I suppose those are some of the steps that we're going to have to take. I also wanted to find out if we were saving any money over at the Department of Corrections on the overtime, considering we've already moved a bunch of cops, apparently, to there so that they can be chauffeurs and clerks. Sorry, that's my rant for the day. Spending a little bit of time on the conversation over at the legislature, and one of the things that I've failed to bring up is while we've been talking about all of the discussion and drama about the sales tax bills that are flying around down there, there are still bills being introduced, and one of them has been introduced by Talena Nelson. Good morning, Talena.
Hi, good morning, Ray.
Hey, good. Back at you. So while all of this is going on, you've still had the opportunity to submit a bill to the body for discussion. Can you tell me about it? What is it? 252?
Well, we have two bills that we've developed so far, which is the payment in lieu of taxes and then the liquid fuel tax surcharge. So those are. Oh, and then also the GFD fees increase, but those are all revenue-producing bills.
Mm-hmm.
Our challenge is we still have to find additional monies for the $67 million shortfall. And
well, we'll just keep closing things that are already closed. We'll save some money doing that.
Yeah. No.
So well, let's go over a couple of those measures then. The liquid fuels tax surcharge. Now, would that apply again to the fuel that I'm putting in my car every week?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't apply to what is at the point of sale for Guam, for our Guam consumers. Really, throughout the years, you have a big fuel tanker by means of boat come in and offload fuel for Guam, and then also there's smaller boats from the CNMI or the Marianas regions that will offload fuel into their boats and take it to the CNMI
right.
or the FSM. So that fuel is not being taxed. And so what we're looking to do is tax that fuel because should an environmental impact happen and, anything.
Be good to have the dough in out. Now, didn't Senator Tom Atta try that a few years ago?
He did. And, I've been reading a lot of the committee reports, and there was a lot of pushback.
Yeah, from the CNMI and the guys out in the FSM and saying, hey, man, hey, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, so, but I think this is an opportune time to take a look at this again because, the economic situation is different for both areas.
Sure.
For the CNMI region and for Guam. And so I'm hoping that, whatever pushback we get, I'm hoping that my colleagues see it as an opportunity to take after all these years that we've been kind of, allowing this to happen.
Well, I'm of the position, and you and I have talked about this, I'm sure, I'm of the position that the taxpayers here on Guam are basically subsidizing the governments of some of these outer islands because they send all their people out here for what are we talking about? We get them into healthcare, we get them into schools, we get them in the jails. So we're basically taking care of the obligations of many of these island governments. So it'd be nice to be able to get a couple of bucks back in the form of this liquid fuels tax surcharge. So I don't necessarily have a problem. And you're right. The government in the CNMI is a little bit fatter with cash these days because their new partner at the casino is helping float a bunch of boats up there. So if there's a chance for us to be able to capitalize on them and their recent success, why not?
Absolutely.
So when does now I don't know if you've gotten this email, but I've just gotten a notification here. First of all, Uncle Speaker B.J. Cruz is back. And yes. he is notifying us in writing that in recognition of yesterday's motion to place Bill 248 in the third reading file and vote upon engrossment, please note that I have been informed that the engrossment process will be complete and prepared for voting this afternoon. Therefore,
yes.
The vote on Bill 248 is scheduled for 4:30 p.m. today at the legislature.
Yes, that's correct.
Well, how about that? So we're not going to wait until tomorrow. It's going to happen today.
Right, it's going to happen today, and perhaps it's a good thing, I mean, the legislative staff has been working very hard, pulling in long hours, even into the early morning during this 4-week process. So
Sure.
We will see.
Okay.
We'll see what happens.
Well, do you have any idea on how you vote? I forget what the record looks like. How do you feel about 248? I'm sure that you've supported some of the amendments, and does that support lead you to the conclusion that we are in these hard times, and we absolutely have to raise the taxes without any requirement that the governor do anything more than submit a fiscal realignment plan?
No, I still have issues with raising taxes, especially when the government has tax receivables in the amount of $189 million. And for one reason or another, I don't know why we can't look at other revenue sources. I mean, even if we have to go small with like $20 million revenue source from here and there, and rather tax our people, that's something that I support, because this is going to impact everyone. And the next 5 years is going to be a very difficult time for us.
Yeah, I've already earmarked some of the places where the people are already being impacted by additional costs. Power has gone up. Prices of gasoline have gone up. We are going to see the prices of dry goods across the board going up when the port puts in the additional tariffs that they have been talking about. So and then on top of that, now we will have to find ways to continue to support the government living like the Kardashians. So getting back to your bills, I'm being told to ask about the pilot payments. That's payments in lieu of taxes. And I understand where this will look like revenue into the government of Guam, but I'm worried that when we start talking about agencies like GWA and the airport and the Port Authority of Guam paying these making these pilot payments, that they're just going to be taking that from us as well, from the taxpayers as well, or passing it along to the taxpayers.
Right. There was historically GPA did go before the PUC, and they were saying that they would have to raise the surcharge to pay the payment in lieu of taxes. But now that they have these bond indentures, it really restricts them from paying into the general fund or paying into that account that's made specifically for that.
Yeah, and the port's probably going to be doing the same thing here in just a little bit. We need to break away. I've got the news coming up in a second, so the timing is really lousy. So we'll try to get hooked up again this hour, because I do want to ask you how much you're anticipating these autonomous agencies paying. So we might call you back in about 6 minutes, all right?
Oh, okay.
All right, appreciate it. Talena Nelson, the senator from the 34th Guam Legislature. We are KUSG Hagutnya, headquarters for Fox News. That's coming up next. Kevin Kerrigan after that? No Kevin Kerrigan, but the update is we have now engrossed the bill. 248 will be voted on this afternoon at the legislature, not tomorrow as previously scheduled. We'll talk about that and plenty more in the next hour of The Ray Gibson Show.
A fighter jet crash off the coast of Florida. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. 2 members of the Navy were on board the fighter jet when it went down off Key West.
A U.S. Navy official tells Fox News an F-18 Hornet from the Black Lion Squadron crashed off the coast of Key West, Florida. Both pilots ejected. Search and rescue efforts are underway. The head of Naval Aviation testified on Capitol Hill recently. Only half the Navy's 542 F-18 Super Hornet jets can fly right now, and only 31% are fully mission capable and ready to fight tonight.
Fox's Jennifer Griffin at the Pentagon. Just hours ago, President Trump was at a Boeing plant in Missouri talking about new military jets.
We're going out of our way. We've asked Congress to fund 24 brand new F-18s, and that's going to be the latest and the greatest. Stealth, a lot of things on that plane that people don't even know about anymore. It's a whole different version of the plane.
The president saying he's still negotiating the price. 1 month after the massacre at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, the House passes a bill aimed at making schools safer.
The Stop School Violence Act that gives students, teachers, and law enforcement more tools to actively identify a potential shooter before a tragedy happens.
House Majority Whip Steve Scalise, himself a victim of gun violence, critically wounded last year when a gunman opened fire on a congressional baseball practice. Conservative radio and TV commentator Larry Kudlow tapped by President Trump to become the next economic advisor.
I believe, first of all, that the greatest and most important thing for this or any other country is rapid economic growth and prosperity for everyone. That is my basic view, and it has been for 4 decades.
Courtesy CNBC's Closing Bell. The Senate passing a bill easing bank rules enacted after the 2008 financial crisis. Fox News, fair and balanced.
Wildfires burn millions of acres across the country each year. And each year, wildland firefighters battle to contain them. But they can't do it alone. For some communities, it's not a question of if wildfires strike, but when. And a single ember can travel more than 1 mile. As it twists and turns and floats through the air, that single ember can find its way to where you live and can ignite and destroy your home or your community. That single ember can be just as dangerous as the wildfire itself. You can't control where the ember will land, but you can control what happens when it does. You can take action now to prepare your home and your community for wildfire. Get fire adapted. Learn what you can do now to reduce wildfire damage later at fireadapted.org. Prepare, protect, prevail. A public service message brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council. Learn more at fireadapted.org.
Republicans in Congress trying to stay upbeat as the outcome of Pennsylvania's special election remains uncertain.
Top House Republicans aren't publicly pushing the panic button after Pennsylvania's special election. GOP conference chair Kathy McMorris Rodgers says be careful about sweeping predictions.
And we aren't even in full momentum on tax reform and the impact that it's having on bigger paychecks and more jobs for families all across this country.
House Speaker Paul Ryan doubts Democrats can repeat the success they saw in Pennsylvania, saying Democrat Connor Lamb ran as a conservative, opposed to Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi. Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee Chairman Ben Ray Lujan says voters found Republican attacks and the unpopular tax scam not believable. On Capitol Hill, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Russia's foreign ministry says there's no video footage, and that's why they're dismissing accusations from Great Britain that they are behind the poisoning of a former Russian spy and his daughter in Great Britain. Today, British Prime Minister Theresa May expelled 23 Russian diplomats. A major automaker announces a recall.
Ford's recalling 1.4 million mid-sized cars, mostly in the United States, a few in Canada and Mexico. The steering wheel can detach from the steering column, causing drivers to lose control. The recall covers some Ford Fusions and Lincoln MKZs, model years 2014 to 18. The automaker says the steering wheel bolts can loosen over time and need to be replaced with longer ones with tougher threads and a nylon patch to keep them from coming loose. Ford reports 2 known crashes and 1 injury caused by the problem. Chris Foster, Fox News.
George Lucas expected to be on hand tomorrow in Los Angeles to break ground on his $1.5 billion Lucas Museum of Narrative Art. The Star Wars creator and his wife will be joined by city and county officials to ceremonially break ground on a section of Exposition Park, which will become the new museum, which is set to open in 2021. Lisa Lacera, Fox News Radio.
For over 55 years, Community First has served our island as a full-service financial institution. And now, we're proud to introduce the new Community First Student-Run Credit Union, open in Manila on Route 10, Guam's first student-run financial institution, which means it's operated by college students like us, ready to serve all our members, existing and new. We're just down the road from UOG and GCC. Community First Guam Federal Credit Union, now open in Manila. This credit union is federally insured by NCUA.
I got you. Let's see here. The Ray Gibson Show brought to you by King's Restaurant, serving Guam favorites to families for over 40 years. King's Restaurant, always open and always local.
When the power goes out on Guam, the little things can become surprisingly big. Small comforts are often the things we miss most during a power outage. That is why Kohler built the fastest responding generator sets in the industry. Whether you are at home or away, a residential Kohler generator will enable you and your family to live life without interruption. Kohler gas, LPG, and diesel power systems are available from Morico Equipment, LLC on EPAL Road. Call 649-1946. That's 649-1946.
Subway's got your fresh choices for Lent. Sink your teeth into the classic tuna or indulge in the mouth-watering greatness of our seafood sensation. Or try our tasty Veggie Max, a delicious vegetarian patty free of artificial colors and flavors. All our subs are served on freshly baked bread paired with vegetables, cut fresh daily in restaurants, and sauces that are sure to excite your taste buds. Visit any of our convenient locations today At Subway, fresh is what we do.
Relax, enjoy, and be greeted by the spectacular view of Hagåtña Bay when you visit the point at the Sheraton Laguna Guam. Gaze into the beautiful sunset as you unwind to the music of Philip Garcia and Natasha on Wednesdays, Mama Shar and Nina on Thursdays, Philip Garcia and Luis Muña on Fridays, and Jack Larimer on Saturdays. Open daily from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. Happy hour from 5 to 8 p.m. with all cocktail drinks for $7. Receive a discount when you present your SPG card. Call Peter Yaban at 646-2222 for reservations at the point at the Sheraton Laguna Guam Resort.
Chili's has the seafood you crave, the flavors you love, at a great price with our 3 for Me Lent menu. For just $15, you can get a beverage, fresh salad, and a Lent-friendly entree. First, choose from a refreshing Coca-Cola, iced tea, or Heineken on draft. Then enjoy a fresh house salad right before you indulge in your choice of a mouth-watering entree, like our spicy shrimp tacos, savory Cajun pasta with shrimp, or our flavorful grilled ancho salmon. Chili's 3 for Me Lent menu for just $15. Available for a limited time. Chili's, more life happens here.
News to fill your mind. Talk to get it out. The Ray Gibson Show.
RayGibsonShow@gmail.com. Great place to send me any leaks that you have. You work for a department or agency in the government of Guam, and you're sitting on information you think, maybe there's a guy in the media might be able to do something with this. Let me know. Let me know about that by sending me a thing at RayGibsonShow@gmail.com. I'm very good at keeping secrets. I'm one of those guys. You trust me with a secret, I will take it to the grave with me. That is until I hear it from somebody else.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah,
then it's not a secret anymore.
Exactly.
Hello.
Exactly. Boy, I can't tell you how many times in my career that's happened. Somebody goes, "Okay, guys, I got to tell you something. This is security because you didn't hear it from me. You didn't hear it. Never do. So only if you say, I'll know. I'll know it was you that told because I only told one other person. Yada yada.
Yeah, right.
And then I'll say, okay, yeah, I got it. I won't say anything about it. Right? And usually 24, 48 hours after that, it's all of a sudden it's in everybody's WhatsApp. And I'm going, dude, I could have broken that story. Right? What is this?
Stole my thunder.
Anyway, but for you, I promise I'll keep things secret here. So we'll see if we can get Telena back on, Senator Telena, at some point. I also wanted to talk with Regine Lee. She had an interesting amendment that talked about the protection of existing contracts. If we got to go down this tax increase road, and it looks like we're speeding in that direction, because we were going to do the vote tomorrow, but B.J. Cruz is back. And the people that are in charge of engrossing things over at the legislature, I guess they have a Department of Engrossment with engrosser 1, 2, and 3s. So I think that's where they've gotten everything done. The engrossment process has concluded, and that means that they can vote on the measure today. So they will vote on the measure at 4:30 this afternoon. Brace yourselves. I don't know what's going to happen. I am no longer in a position where I have any idea, any inkling of what is going to happen. It's an up-down deal at this point. There might be a couple of more changes that are made on it. I don't know in the process, and then we're going to get what we're going to get. So those of you that have agreed that these are unbelievably tough times. There's no way that we're going to be able to extricate ourselves out of them with our government and services intact without a tax increase. Well, it looks like that might be one of the choices that we're going to be going down. If you're like me, that says, I want to see more savings. I want to have more conversations about savings. And savings besides closing things that are already closed. Or taking police officers off of the streets, out of police cars, and putting them at the Department of Corrections so they can answer the phone and drive clients around and do whatever it is that the clerks up there are doing. I've never liked that idea. I thought that was stupid to begin with. And they said, oh, that's okay because we'll augment the police with park rangers and all. No, put those guys at DepCorp. Keep the badges and the guys on the job on the streets. But maybe I'm the only one that thinks of things like that.
No, you're not.
and then we got Telena who's going, wait a second, we know that there's a ton of people that owe the government money. How about if we just make them pay us what they owe us? Right? That's what I'm saying. She's back on the line. Good morning, Telena, Senator. I'm sorry. See, I've known the family too long, so it's just Telena, right? But
Telena.
So yeah, Telena. You know, it's a Tedo's girl. So the deal, we were talking about the payment in lieu of taxes. So as I understand it, a couple of the agencies that you're talking about, that you're asking to pay these payments in lieu of taxes, already have language in some of their bond paperwork that prevents them from making those kind of payments into the general fund. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so now that leaves just the port that would be left holding the bag on these pilot payments, right?
Yes, but it's not. It's an attempt to really negotiate with whatever bond that they're going out to, that they are still able to make these payments. I mean, and that's my concern, is that we've been allowing the autonomous agencies to go to the bond, not really understanding the full impacts. But now that historically we see the impact of the airport and GWA, how they're restricted to make such payments back into the general fund, I think this is something that we need to look at now.
Okay, so and when we say now, you mean now, because Jay Rojas and I think some of the other members of the bond team, the Bond brothers over at GITA, are in San Francisco now. Is that not correct?
I don't know Mr. Rojas' whereabouts.
No, well, when I caught him the other day, he was in Seoul on his way to San Francisco, and I think that's laying some foundation work for this bond borrowing that the port is going to be doing. So if you're going to insist that there's something in the bond covenants that does not restrict them from making a pilot payment, I think you need to get a hold of those guys now, or find a way to enact that legislation immediately. Otherwise, you're going to try to shut the door after it's already closed.
Right. Well, we've been talking with these past couple of weeks with GITA, especially at the committee of the whole. So, it's not, the concern is not new. It was brought up several times inside and outside discussions on and off the floor. So they're aware, and so hopefully they remember that and keep the best interests of the people at heart.
How much are you expecting the port to pay? Is there a formula for these autonomous agencies if they were to pay the pilot taxes, the payments in lieu of taxes? I'm sorry. Is there a formula that you would be asking them to pay? Or
well, this goes back for many years, over 10 years. So I'm just hoping that when they go to the bond, they'll negotiate that they will make some payment into the agencies, into the autonomous agencies account for the pilot.
Right.
And so I know it was supposed to be split amongst, the airport and the power authority, but there was just, I guess historically the legislature kind of pulled back because of the increase of surcharge that they were worried about having. But I think that's I don't know.
Historically, there have been some knockdown dragouts between, say, people like Simon Sanchez and the late Ben Pangilinan. When he was there, he was the Speaker Ben was a stickler for this kind of thing and demanded, because outfits like the Port Authority of Guam and Guam Power Authority and GWA, et cetera, while they are autonomous agencies, they still use the same roadways. If they get into a jam, they're going to call the police department, or they'll call the fire department. So it's important that these outfits recognize that they are still part of the community, and even though they don't pay taxes, they still need to support some of the infrastructure.
Yes, you're absolutely right, Ray.
Yeah, but I can't remember when that fight stopped or how it left off or who won. Somebody's going to have to do a little bit more of all of that. So if it came down to it, there's an expectation that maybe the government of Guam is going to be looking for about $3.5 million worth of pilot payments. And if the only autonomous agency that can pay by virtue of their bond covenants is the port, would you be asking them to pony up the entire amount?
No, absolutely not. That is not it's not a fair request.
Right.
So we're just looking that they would pay what is owed on their share, and then future bond agreements give them that flexibility to pay into the pilots.
Okay.
And that they also look at, I don't know, some of their cost-cutting revenues as well, because essentially we don't see the impact that the tariffs have on the people, because, and what they do within the agency, because they're not putting into the general fund, and so really, we're a little bit more transparency in the autonomous agencies are needed.
Right. Because otherwise, as Tom the Hammer Atta says, we're flying blind here. We don't know what the revenue is that is escaping, or what the potential revenue is that is escaping from these guys. All right. I see where you're headed. Did you talk to Glenn about this? What did Glenn say? Did Glenn say it was cool?
No, my uncle respects my position. And politics is different from family time. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. I got a sister who works at Gita, for heaven's sakes. Yeah, so you can imagine what some of the conversation can sometimes sound like. Talina, listen, I'm going to let you run. I know you've got a day ahead of you. I was hoping that you guys would have a day to get the engrossed measure and then review the engrossed measure and then act on it tomorrow. But it looks like the speaker has made the call that you're going to work this afternoon.
Yes, we are going to vote on the bill at 4:30.
Okay, can I do my own personal lobbying?
Oh, sure, yeah, of course.
Because I'm a taxpayer, I should be able to do that, right? Vote no.
Of course.
I want you to vote no. I want you to vote no on the tax increase. I'd like to see more cuts, more collections of some of the delinquent amounts into the government of Guam. I'd like to see that happen either first or simultaneously. I think maybe we need to restore the teeth to Senator St. Nicholas's amendment.
I think we're on the same page.
Okay, well, good. Let's see what happens at 4:30. All right, I'll talk to you pretty soon. Senator Talina Nelson over at the 34th Guam Legislature, pilot in lieu of taxes. A very interesting concept. And if there are guys that you need to talk to about this that will take a different sort of the conversation. If he was still a senator, even though he knows, right? Senator Frank Blas. Former Senator Frank Blas. He was another guy that was gunning after payment in lieu of taxes, but he wasn't going after autonomous agencies in the government of Guam. He was going after the federal government that has entities here on Guam for which they don't pay any taxes on. You follow? Okay, I'll give you one. It's a big one. There's a park down in Essen, right? It's the national park. And as far as I know, they don't pay any taxes on this. And anywhere else, it seems that any other states that they work at, there are payments that they would make in lieu of taxes. And my recollection was he was gunning after them to either start paying or to pay more. It was a long, long time ago, so I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to go through some of my records, or at least get the senator on the line to have that conversation. And you would hope maybe that somebody will pick up on that in 2018 while we are in the midst of all of this, and start looking around at some of the other people that also, have an impact on the infrastructure around here. And maybe it's time for them to start being able to help cover some of the nut around here. 919. Oh, I'm striking gold here. I'm talking to all the girls at the legislature today.
Yes, you are.
Tough to get a hold of this one. Regine Biscoli, good morning, Senator.
Happy day, Ramon. I'm sorry about that. Mornings are super hectic for me. We're trying to get the girls up and out of bed to school on time. And
what's you got a husband? What's he doing?
He actually does a lot of training. So he works a 24-hour job at the fire department.
Right.
So it's tough. I'm a single mom in the morning.
I listen, understand, seen the action over at my place as well, and with the little ones at their age now. Something as simple as what cup we're going to drink our milk in the morning can turn into a knockdown drag out, right?
That's absolutely right. And if you give them that green cup when they've asked for the pink one, it's just the end of the world.
Okay, so all right, one parent to another. Let me tell you how we solved it in our house. We threw away all but one cup.
Oh, that works too.
So you just, if we've only got one cup that you're going to drink your milk in every day, so we don't have to decide. You do the same thing with cereal while they're still young, because you get the idea. And you look at the top of everybody's refrigerator is 20 boxes of cereal, and it takes 20 minutes for them to figure out which one they want for breakfast.
Right. It's just life at our house. That's all you get.
That's
life and a banana.
and there you go. That's how you simplify. Yay! We have no cereal in our house. You feed your kids Life.
Life cereal, they love it. That's their.
Mikey likes it.
That would have been child abuse in my house. I would have called the Child Protective Services on my mom if she'd ever tried to do that. I'm sorry.
I tell you, they try to sneak in the Lucky Charms into the grocery cart, but it always I'm quick to yank that one out.
Uncle Ray's going to come over with a box of Count Chocula.
Oh, now you're talking blueberry. Blueberry.
Yeah, you don't even need milk for that. I eat that stuff straight from the box. Love it. Okay, so listen, it's nice to get caught up on all of the family stuff. Let's talk about the other side of the family. 248 up for vote today. Are you ready for it?
I think no matter what happens with the vote today, I'm just committed in not giving up. So if the vote ends up passing today, there's still a number of revenue enhancement bills that are before the legislature that we can continue to consider. I think we just need to continue to beat that drum that, there could potentially be, or there potentially is 50, 100, maybe even $180 million in taxes that are owed to GovGuam today that haven't been paid. And so in my mind, the idea of increasing taxes just doesn't make sense in a reality where we have so much already owed.
And the people are already getting impacted. We've already got, and I'm at the risk of doing it again, gas prices went up. We're charging more. Tommy Morrison decided that we needed to give more money to Glenn, so we've got more money coming out of the pumps on every gallon of gas that is served up on Guam, and that has an impact on people's abilities to make decisions with their money. Power bills went up, and they're going to go up again. The second round of the LEAC is going to hit in May, so we know that's happening. And we're talking. I was just on the phone with Senator Nelson, who's watching what's happening over at the port. They're about ready to take out a bond that they're going to have to pay for, and the tariffs are going to have to go up to support that. And so the cost of everything that's coming into Guam is going to be going up. So
I heard you earlier. I mean, cans of ox and palm, and every single thing that you purchase, that your family purchases. My Life cereal is going to go up for the kids.
Yes.
I think that there are many of us that might be able to shoulder that burden, and lucky for us, but there are also folks out there, our working poor, our retirees on fixed income that can only, they need a certain kind of medication to be able to survive. And if the increase on that medication goes up, then they're, it's just going to be an additional burden on them, and many of them are already really, really struggling at this point.
Cost of living is high on Guam, and a lot of people kind of look the other way, and they hold their nose when they write those checks, because we're here and we're with family, and we can't think of a better place to live. But I think there are going to be a lot of people, maybe especially even the young ones, that are looking around saying, "Wait a second, why am I working so hard to struggle to get by in this town when there are other places where I could live where the cost of living is a whole lot lower?" I mean, I won't get to be around my family and friends, but at least I'll be able to get a little ahead in this game.
Right, and I agree with you on many of those points. I just feel like, we're being called in to vote on this measure today. I will be voting no for a lot of the reasons that you mentioned, but we've tried to throw everything at this bill and try to get additional amendments passed to make it a little bit more palatable. Some of those have passed through the body, some of those have failed, but we've really tried. We've really tried to make it so that it has the least impact on working families, on our local businesses, just people who keep this community going,
that have been doing it all this time. They're supporting the people that won't work, and there's a lot of those guys out there, and supporting the people that are riding high, living like the Kardashians. And that's my favorite new phrase out here, because that's what seems to fit. They're just kind of running around, and they don't seem to understand that they're living good because there's this big middle class around here that has been paying all the bills, and I got a feeling that they're getting really, really tired of doing it. So I think that no vote that you said that you were going to cast today is going to resonate with a lot of people that are saying, good, she knows we've had enough.
Yeah, we certainly have. But again, I've tried to fight as much as I could to make this a palatable and more balanced measure. I will continue to do that in the future, and I think that's kind of the takeaway, at least for me. It will be disappointing if this bill ends up passing. I think that there's been a lot of pressure from the administration on our branch of government, and the governor has flat out said it. The legislature is the only one that can save us now. They are the only ones, and that's a lie.
There's plenty. We've been talking about this tax amnesty, and that's all it's been, is talking about the tax amnesty. I don't think John Camacho needs to do anything. It doesn't need to ask anybody's permission to do it. He ought to be able to just go out and put a press release that says, effective right now, there is a tax amnesty for this year, and it may only bring in about $5 or $6 million. But
hey, that's $5 or $6 million we didn't have, and maybe we won't have to close the swimming pools and the.
Oh, you mean close the pools that are already closed, and close the Paseo Stadium that's already closed? So when they come to you and say, we've already saved this much money by closing this down, that's artificial. That's phony baloney.
Absolutely. You're right on point, Ray.
Okay,
right on the point.
That's why we call it that. If it does, I thought I saw it as an amendment opportunity, but if it's not an amendment, then you're going to have to make it a proposed law, same as Tony Sanford did back in the early 2000s. The last time we went through this, instant recognition that, hey, you made the BPT 5%. I've made all of my contractual agreements with whoever it is I'm dealing with, and that number was based on 4%. I can't eat that additional percent, so you got to find a way in statute for businesses to be able to preserve their 4% contracts.
Yeah, absolutely. So we did proffer that amendment, and if memory serves, it passed without objection, and it does. It mirrors Bill 88, which, like, right on point what you said. Former Senator Tony Sanford, and then I believe Senators Respicio and Cunliffe also assisted her with that. And that's now public law. And it just, again, it seeks to exempt the contracts that are already in place from the increase in GRT, which was, again, enacted in, I think, 2003.
When that happens, is there a sunset on that protection? Does it only apply to contracts that were made this fiscal year moving into next?
Yeah, I believe so. And, one of the reasons why I proffered this amendment is because I'm a former small business owner. I know that our success in our businesses is really predicated on planning. You have to be able to, and success in anything really, in anything that you try to pursue, you got to plan it out and make sure that that you're looking ahead. And I don't think anybody, not even the government, should be able to change the score after the game's already played.
Exactly.
It's so unfair. It's unfortunate that a lot of these businesses will have to adjust to this, not only the increase in BPT, but also the increase now in sales tax that sounds like it's coming down in the next few months. And so, again, it's just really one last-ditch opportunity for me to try to get some measures in there that aren't going to just lessen the burden, I guess, on families and our local businesses.
Hey, listen, even here at the radio station, I have annual agreements, and so there is the possibility that as this new tax goes into effect, that we might have to give more to the government of Guam, but that doesn't mean that I can go back to the people I wrote those agreements with and say I need another percent.
Right.
They'll kick me out. They say, get out. You're already expensive. I'm not giving you any more.
And I think that many of these contracts, they're both large and small contracts. And again, they're made based on those criteria. And just exactly like what you said, they can't be amended. They can't be renegotiated. So they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. So we're just trying to offer them some relief through this amendment.
All right. Well, if the bill passes, then I'm glad that that has been put in there, and if anybody changes it, then throw it back to the body in form of legislation. We'll see what happens. Senator, I do appreciate your time. I know that you guys are going to be in session at 4:30 this afternoon, and I'll go ahead and mark you down with Senator Nelson as 2 no votes on this measure. We got to keep scratching. And have you ever gotten a copy of the balances of the special funds?
You know, that's a really great question, Ray, and we're going to continue to ask for it. I have not, and I will also, you know, we've asked for access, read-only access to all the bank accounts for the line agencies, and we, you know, these are things that, how can we possibly make the right decisions if we don't have all the information in front of us? And so it's really a challenge for us and for the governor to continue to come down here and say, you know, we're in this crisis. We need to be able to see that.
Well, it's not just you. It's not just you. It's me too. I'm a senator. I'm a taxpayer. Those special funds, I contribute to those special funds in many ways, and I know people that are beneficiaries or should be beneficiaries of those funds. Why can we not see the balance of those funds just as taxpayers?
That's absolutely right. And, you know, Ray, I know that you had the superintendent, John Fernandez, on in your program earlier. And I just wanted to say that I'm so glad that those students came down to the legislature and had an opportunity to discuss this with us. And I think that, you know, what ended up coming out is that there may have been some misinformation on their part. Many of them were of the understanding that this bill will cut funding for teachers in the classroom, and that's not true. In fact, this bill was amended to include Senator Uggins' reorganization provision that puts education at the very, very top of our priority listing where it should be. Both, I mean, also the big 3, right? So education, public safety, and healthcare, we've made that a priority in our budgets here. But time and time again, the administration has failed to provide those cash allotments to these critical agencies that we all agree are critical. But, you know, they've been starved for cash. And so it's
since ever since.
But a good opportunity for us to just have that conversation with the students, for them to hear both sides and to get the full picture before kind of making a decision on.
It's the same conversation I had with Uncle Robert at the University of Guam. We were talking about, you know, ways that this fiscal crisis is impacting. He says we've already been impacted with holdings, and then you use that to say that we've got a surplus at the end of the fiscal year. And I'm going, yeah, but it's just a paper surplus, and you only got it because you didn't make the allotments to these departments and agencies. So I don't know that it's that big of a miracle, but you know, I don't get paid $106,000 to say so. So. Listen, I'm going to let you run. Have a fantastic day.
You as well. Take good care, Ray.
Thank you. Senator Regine Lee on the program this morning. And so as I said, well, there's, you know, for those of you that have been playing along and are like me going, man, we need every no vote we can get. There's 2. Dalawa.
That's right.
Is that in Dalawa over there with the no votes? I don't know what's going to happen with the rest of them, but at least we know that there's a couple of people. You know, I want to say there's a couple of girls down there with balls, but I don't think I should say that on the radio, and there's a possibility.
It's too late.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's 9:33 in the morning. Having said that, I'm going to take a breather and come back with what I like to refer to as the small talk portion of the show. Oh, sorry, that's what that hand sign meant. iConnect time in the studio is 9:33, and I want you to swing by. You run a business? Do you have a business where you got people that you trust with your company vehicle and deliveries? You see them in the morning at 8, and then you see them again at 5, and you kind of hope that they're following all the instructions and the rules and the roads, and may be able to maintain contact with them. Call the folks over at iConnect. In fact, ask for Cheryl. Call and ask for Cheryl. And find out about their mobile and internet plans. And play that noise. Okay. I was going to say, that should be a familiar noise to your people, and that is one of the ways that you know you've got incoming and that they have got incoming, and that means that the boss can talk to them right now. No, not answering the phone, because they know where you are and where you're supposed to be. So that's the way you do it. iConnect time 9:34.
Shrimp. KFC's new shrimp burger. It's great.
Howdy, folks. KFC's Colonel Sanders here. Try our new shrimp burger and all our seafood items available this season. KFC Food Kelequin, breaded shrimp, seafood salad, and of course, we can't forget your one and only favorite KFC original recipe chicken.
All right. I need to try KFC's new shrimp burger. Good, because you really are shrimp. Hey, a 5-7.
KFC, it's finger-licking good.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
I'm a working mom and could really use more hours in my day. Thankfully, my non-electric Kinetico water treatment system has simplified my life. It's easier to clean my home with Kinetico conditioned water. No more scrubbing tubs or wiping water spots. Cleaners work better and last longer. And all the Kinetico drinking water we want is right here. No more lugging home bottled water. All this, and I'm saving money too, thanks to Kinetico.
American Water Tech. Smarter water. Better water. Call American Water Tech at 649-2301 or email info@americanwatertech.com. As we journey through the new year, we here at APL continue to find ways to better deliver our island's resources with innovative and cost-effective solutions, lending our helping hands by carrying your freight safely from the U.S. mainland or anywhere in our global network. We humbly honor the opportunities to continue to work and connect with you and your business. We are APL, and we are here for you.
Come out for the 4th annual Chucky Run and Fun 5K, 2K, and Flyaway giveaway. Join us Saturday, April 14th at Chuck E. Cheese's Guam. Show at 5:30 and go at 6 a.m. T-shirts, medals, and other cool prizes, refreshments, and indoor activities after the races. Grand prize drawing for all participants is a trip package for 2 to Manila. Register at Chuck E. Cheese's Guam. $8 for students, $12 for adults, and group of 4 Super Saver for just $35. The 4th annual Chuck E. Run and Fun 5K, 2K, and Flyaway giveaway. See you there.
In 22 minutes, it'll be 10 o'clock in the morning, and at 10 o'clock, we start the daily cavalcade of right-wing bomb throwers, starting with Brian Kilmeade from the 5 on the Fox and Rush Limbaugh. He's back. He's back in the saddle over the last couple of days.
Yes, he is. Although Brian's kind of middle of the road, you know. He's right-leaning, but because I heard him the other day.
There are a couple of things every once in a while. Even as I identify conservative, there are still a couple of things that he will bring up in the program, and I'll go, I'm not sure if I totally agree with that. And then you've got Sean Hannity after Rush and plenty more. So where we as I said, a small talk portion of the show, and it's just usually in the last half hour, 20 minutes of the show. There's really not a whole lot of new ground that we're going to be able to cover this morning. The number of the people that we would normally be interested in talking to are engrossing, personally, the engrossed version of the bill. And so we're probably not going to be able to talk to them until after all of the screaming is done over at the legislature and a vote is taken on the measure. And that's going to happen this afternoon about 4:30, according to the call of the Speaker, B.J. Cruz, who's back in town. And I told you many times that I cannot tell you how many times, because there's so many that I don't even remember. I said nothing will happen until B.J. comes back. So it's just not going to go. You've got Therese Terlai, who did, I thought, a pretty good job at the legislature of being able to hold off any more of the barbs and the attacks. Up to and including, and she got too much class to say it. But they're talking about pulling back on rents and leases in her family's properties.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's it. And she's like, well, hey, it's government. No, it is what it is. This is vindictive. Oh, you're not going to support me? Well, I'm going to have my guys go and move out. from your family properties?
Lots of drama.
Yeah.
I'm the new guy. That's the one thing I've discovered about Guam politics since I got here.
Yeah.
Lots of drama.
Cutthroat, baby. Cutthroat. Yeah. Because, man, there's a bunch of stuff here at stake. From the chatter on the live feed on Facebook, Denise writes, dump those political appointees and assistants and deputy whatevers. You know, deputy whatevers is always an interesting concept. It's not so much the deputies, it's the planners. It's people that have got those, you know, those kinds of titles. I'm sorry, what is it that I'm a planner. What do you do?
Okay. They hold a meeting to decide when they should have the meeting to talk about the meeting.
Another meeting, yeah. So it's governor's office, legislature, DOE, GPA, GWA, all spending ridiculous projects when they've already got the facilities. Who else is writing? I got a note here from Eddie. Says Cabras One tripped again to convince people that we need a new power ship contract. Dilly dilly. Maybe. Kenny writes, I think $105 million deficit for fiscal year 14 through 16 shows the governor has mastered the art of spending money he doesn't have. And Brad writes, are there any possible poison pills in this bill that could kill it entirely? Not firmer, much weaker amendments. Yeah, get Senator out. He's got some splaining to do, and the splaining was he wanted to make a good faith effort, but he took all of the teeth out of the bill when he changed Senator Sinicolas's amendment. And if you follow Senator Sinicolas on Facebook, you will find that there are a lot of people that are very upset about those the changes that were made to the gizmo. Good morning, Dee. Welcome to the program. Excuse the mess.
Morning.
Half a day.
Hello?
I'm here.
Ray.
Yeah.
You don't remember me, do you?
What are you doing calling me here?
From K57?
Yes, yeah. Oh, my God, the chicken lady. And with the coconut plants. Yes, I do know. Yeah. Well, I'm so glad you found me. I'm here now.
Oh, I've been finding you. I found you, and I've been listening, and I'm sitting there just getting more infuriated because I'm the one that said dump the appointees.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's people being paid over $100,000 and doing what? Are they really necessary? You know, they say, I've trimmed the fat, there's no more fat to trim, let's raise taxes. But they're not thinking about the common everyday people. We've already resorted to shoving families like sardines in a can in the house.
Have you noticed that? No. Have you noticed that?
Cars, and they keep jacking the prices up. But they're, you know, like, what's his name, San Nicolas. Oh, it's only $33,000 it's going to be. But you know what? That's still a significant part of the population that suffers.
Well, that was a non-starter. I was pleased that he's at least thinking about trying to make it so that the people weren't going to be affected. But the idea that we were going, no, hold on, let me finish.
And go, oh, we'll just tax the military and the tourists.
No. Let me finish, Dee. Let me finish. I was delighted that he was thinking about it, but I, like you, did not think it was a good idea to make Guam that much more expensive for the tourists that are coming here. That's foisting our problems on them is going to cause us more harm than good. And to tell somebody in the military that they got to pay more because we don't need to keep we don't know how to keep our household finances in order is a slap in the face to anybody that has taken the oath, and a bigger slap in the face for the men and women from Guam that have taken an oath. They're going to serve someplace else, and I would hope that the places where they are doing their duty and their gift to the country aren't dumping taxes and fees on top of them. So that was a non-starter for me.
A whole lot of money either. They're struggling to get by.
Well, you know what's going to happen is if
they pay taxes in the base.
If that were to happen, Dee, they would do virtually everything on base. They would shop on base. They would never come over to this side of the fence. They wouldn't eat in any of our restaurants. They wouldn't buy any of the goods in the stores. They just do everything at the commissary and the exchange.
But see, the people on the lower levels, especially the Mononco and the retirees, they got after it. I mean, I am so sick, and so many people are so sick of seeing these politicians. Well, if I don't get what I want, start cutting throat. But they think, well, I closed all the pools and parks. I got you. Well, you know what? You only hurt the people that use it. use these facilities. You ain't doing nothing because the other guy's sitting there going, I don't care.
Yeah. We're still going to get paid. We just moved him to someplace else.
I do once in a while get out, and I see in the restaurants, you know, my son will take me to, like, King's, for example, and you see these Guam people sitting there just jawing away. I mean, a lineup of cars outside, whether it's GPO, Micronesia Mall, or Agana Mall, or wherever, and it's just wasting money.
I remember when Carl Gutierrez became the governor last time around, beginning of his first term.
I remember Carl. He cut the tax refunds and the EITC, and that hit where? The lowest of the population.
Well, but he also, the first thing that came out of his mouth was there will be no yellow plates during working hours in the parking lot at Kmart.
They still use their vehicles to do their private business. I know that for a fact.
Well, what happened to the law? There used to be a Senator Joanne Brown law that said that all government vehicles needed to be identified, needed to have some marking on them besides a yellow plate.
Identified, but it's just blatant. You know, that, well, you know, who's going to touch me mentality.
Well, because they're unbelievably, there is a protected class and you're not in it. I'm sorry, that's the long and the short of it.
But see, it ain't just me. There are so many people that I see that are forced to consolidate the family because they can't make it on their own.
I wish there was a way that we could put a number on that, or just another example. You know, we do these. Well, we do these counts for the homeless, right?
And separated the classes of people, but there are so many struggling just to get by. Me, for example, I can't even qualify to get Medicare or Medicaid or get my meds for high blood pressure use. I've had to, well, do I want to eat or do I want my medicine? Well, guess what? I'm hungry. I got to eat.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people in that situation. The Mononco, you don't go after them. You don't go after the disabled. You don't go after the kids. DOE is so top-heavy with all these pompous people. Well, I'm important. I have what do you call status? I get paid over $100,000 a year, giving themselves raises. Don't even ask the people or even think, can we really afford this? Do we have something to fall back on?
Well, I don't know if you read the Daily Post every day. I'm going to suggest that you do. There are stories where they're talking about what is it? They were talking about it on the Post earlier about how you've got the retirees that are under pressure now with their insurance because Netcare hasn't been paid.
Yeah, they cut them. They're going to cut them.
So they're going to. So here's and they haven't. It's not like they just stopped getting paid. It's not like it was brought on by this fiscal crisis that Trump and the White House did, right? These payments go back months and months and months. So while the retirees are at risk of losing their insurance with every provider that the government of Guam has, they had been giving out raises. They did, this is the timeline. I was originally thinking the timeline started in January, February, but it goes.
But you sure won't see very many of them bouncing around.
No, these things go back months and months and months, and I'm sitting there going, so at the same time that these retiree insurance companies weren't getting paid because we were in some kind of a cash crunch here, they were handing out raises. It doesn't make sense to me here, and there's more that needs to be done, and unfortunately, I don't think we've got the number of no votes on this bill.
I mean, all right, like, for example, you got a GPA. These guys really make my hair stand up. They've got this facility out here in Dedido. It ain't running. You got a fresh coat of paint, but nothing going on with it. But he wants to build a brand new station next to GRMC. Excuse me? You ain't doing nothing with what you got.
Which one is the one that's not running?
The one at Dedido.
By the school?
It's before you get to Wysing Song Road.
It's the Estumbo, right?
You know what?
No, not Estumbo. This is on Marine Drive, coming from Gigo, just before you get to Daddy to White Song Road, where the Mobile is.
Okay, D, I know there's people from GPA listening, and they'll call me and let me know what the story is on that. Hey, listen, I got to run. Mike's telling me I got to take a break.
Okie dokie. Well, those senators better watch out. Elections coming around, and they got fat cats sitting in their thing too, getting paid.
That's a fact.
And doing what?
That's a fact. Chris Barnett said so.
And either do it for himself or just never mind.
Do you still have chickens for sale?
Oh, yes, I do.
All right.
They closed out Trader Horn.
That's why I want to give you a chance to sell them.
Oh, yeah.
So how do people get a hold of you?
I've had to reduce because I can't afford.
Oh, the feed's going to, prices of the feed is going to go up.
Because I can't afford just to buy my medicines.
Price of your feed is going to be going up. Your chickens are going to get better medicine than you pretty soon.
Everything's going up, but the burden falls the hardest on those that don't have the middle income and better.
As we've said. So how do people get a hold of you if they want to buy your chickens?
Oh, 653-7223 and talk to D.
Brings back memories. I love you. I'll talk to you.
Yeah, I really missed you.
Well,
I said welcome back a few times on
the thing. Well, but you need to call in. It's only fun if I get to talk to you. Okay.
Okay. You
All right.
take care and God bless. And I'm out for the average everyday guy. Those are the ones that are struggling.
I try to sit at the same table, same side of the table, D. I'll see you soon.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, baby. You have a good day. And buy your chickens from her. These are fighting birds, not eating birds. And the reason why she's in a good spot here because I don't know if you noticed, but they are going to be doing some rules and regulations, promulgating information to support 2 new cockfighting licenses in this town.
Oh, okay.
So there's going to be more of that happening around here. And I don't know how you feel about cockfighting. Frankly, I don't care. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not getting hurt, and the chickens are given for their short lives better round. They got to fight every once in a while, but otherwise they're generally very, very well taken care of. As I said, better medicine that goes into the chickens than the people that raise the chickens. So I don't necessarily have a problem with that. Jack, stop that. Jack's writing in this morning a couple of things that I definitely can't say on the radio, but telling me near the old Dedido dump is that substation they're talking about. And it might be one of those things that they built just for fast tracks that they try not to use unless Cabris 1 goes off as a sign that somebody wants to push the deal on the car, power, ship, buy. Yeah, dilly-dilly, as he says. I'll be right back.
Triple J says yes. Zero down? Yes. 1.9% financing? Yes. Easy trade-in? Yes. No payments for 90 days? Yes. We'll have you saying yes, too, to these amazing deals. Like our big boy truck, the Ford F-150 at only $217 per paycheck. Or the top safety pick Mazda CX-5 Sport at only $194 per paycheck. Or turn heads in the Mazda 3 Sport or the sleek and sophisticated Kia Soul. Both for only $129 per paycheck. Visit us online at triplejguam.com. Some conditions apply. See dealer for details. Triple J, customers first.
$7 meal from Circle K. Get your choice of 2 Nathan's all-beef hot dogs or a half-pound Nathan's all-beef footlong, a big wrap bag of chips, and any size Polar Pop. That's a giant deal of a meal, all for only $7. Circle K. Take it easy.
Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. Buenas and Hafade, Guahu si Claraming Lotnya of Malolo. And this is where I start my day, listening to the voices of our community and sharing thoughts about issues that affect all of us. It all boils down to our people and our land. Protehi itanotmu, protect your land. When it comes to your family land, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
Special things only come around once a year, and it's time for fish fans to celebrate the return of Wendy's Cod Filet Sandwich. Wendy's uses the gold standard for fried fish, wild-caught Northern Pacific cod, breaded with panko crumbs to a light crisp. Add a new creamy dill tartar sauce and crisp pickles, and you've got the fish sandwich many say is the best of the bunch. Get yours today at Wendy's, located in Tamuning, Barragata, Agana, Dedido, and Naval Base. Wendy's Cod Filet. Now that's better.
All right, I'm in constant and immediate communications with people over at GPA, and I will ask about that substation or whatever it is up by the old dump in Dadido and find out what the deal is with that, and if that's something that they might be able to use or pull out of mothballs. I don't know. There's a lot that goes on. There's a lot of regulatory nonsense that gets factored into it. I don't know. I'll see what I can find out for you, and maybe it's one of those things that we can push off for later. I know that almost every room I walk into, I'm not going to be the smartest guy. I know it. I've never been very confident in my own intelligence, and frankly, when I get it right, it surprises me too. But every once in a while, somebody will say or do something that will validate a thought that I had in my head. And we talked about it yesterday when we were talking about that Moody's, when they changed their outlook on GWA.
Right.
I said, this doesn't make any sense to me. They even write it. They refer to it, saying that our outlook has changed on this GWA borrowing, this bond, even though GWA is not a creature of the general fund. They're an autonomous agency. They can bring in as much money as they need, spend as much money as they need. They answer to the Consolidated Commission on Utilities and the ratepayers. End of story. So why the government of Guam is going through these issues? Obviously, why does that change the outlook for GWA? And so I said that, mentioned it with Simon when we were talking about it yesterday. And so page 2 of today's Daily Post, they interviewed Joe Bradley, who is the senior economist up at the senior VP and chief economist over at the Bank of Guam. And he's saying the same thing. He says, there's nothing in the bond covenants that designates the general fund as a secondary source of repayment for the bond, so I don't understand what Moody's decision is. Doesn't make any sense to me, and it doesn't make any sense to him. So I was just delighted when I saw that and said, yes, I'm not a stupid. I'm not a dumb. I got that right. I was right in asking that question. So that makes me feel good. While I have the opportunity, and it's just us girls, the Women in Transition 2 seminar is going to be taking place tomorrow. Check-in time at 8. Program starts at 8:30. We'll go till noon. When they do, if they did this with guys, it would go until noon. We'd break for lunch. We'd come back for a couple more sessions and be out of there by like 1 or 2 or something like that.
Sure, yeah.
Right? And but then we'd say, well, the day's over. I'm not going back to work. So they don't do that. When they do this thing with the girls, out by noon, right? So we're not going to break for lunch. We're not going to have some fancy dancy thing afterwards because we know that these girls want to go back to work. So that's the way they do that. $25 for chamber members, $35 for non-chamber members. You will hear Neil Nedley talk about very personal things. Very well, I don't know. I don't want to call it networking or anything like that, but he's a depression and anxiety recovery expert. We'll also have the just terrific Darlene Garcia, certified grief recovery specialist. Marilyn Borja, Christine Lohan's going to be there. Sandra McKeever as well, and talking about very emotional, personal things with these ladies. And I think it's going to be just a wonderful opportunity for catharsis. $25 to get you in if you're a chamber member. If you want details, get to the Chamber's website and get yourself lined up for this. I think it's going to be pretty important. They are worried government of Guam will charge the utilities rent. That's what my friend Ray was asking about. Why it would be that Moody's outlook would change if there was a problem with the government of Guam, et cetera, and maybe that is it. Maybe that is it, Ray, that they are worried that the government of Guam will charge utilities rent. We've already heard from Senator Talina Nelson over at the 34th Guam Legislature, who wants to put pilot in place, payment in lieu of taxes, which means that these autonomous agencies, these other instrumentalities, instead of paying taxes, because they don't, would find a way to fund operations in the government of Guam by other financial means. Maybe that's part of it as well. But they've already got, many of them already have bond indentures and covenants that preclude that from happening. So it's a sticky wick. We'll see how it plays out. No matter what happens at the legislature this afternoon at 4:30, and this is the great part, I know I got stuff to talk about tomorrow. I know I'm going to have stuff to talk about tomorrow.
One way or the other.
I got a feeling it's going to come down to one vote. I think it's going to be that tight between the yes votes and the no votes. It needs 8 to pass. I think it might come right down to that one last 8th person. We'll see how many times things get passed. It's 10. Here's Fox News. KUSG Agana.
More staff change is expected at the White House. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Sources telling Fox more cabinet shuffling could come by the end of the week.
In the top of the changes I'm being told to watch for, H.R. McMaster, the National Security Advisor, to be replaced by Ambassador John